No, ladies and gentlemen, don't adjust your headphones. It is I, Monster Zero, coming back for one more show. And we are going to be having somewhat of a reunion of sorts tonight. Not only am I back, but I'm also back and with Aries, because Aries was not here the last time I was here, so he's here too. So it's somewhat of a reunion tonight. But what is this? A reunion plus one? Yeah, Arkham Josh is going to be joining us tonight too. And we're going to be doing not just uno, but dos films tonight. Reliving the 70s era here. And welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Welcome to episode 509 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is the world's most dangerous podcast and is recorded in front of an undead studio audience here at Castle Wolfenstein. Also at the Lair of Lost Swag within the Raven Chateau. Also, as you heard in the intro, now I'm going to screw this up because I've screwed it up in the past, but we are also joined from Casa Day Zero, and there's the GIF. If you're watching live feed, just put the GIF of MZ passing out on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
An eternal favorite to everyone.
I don't know if you knew this or not, MZ, but the week after the first week without you, we just played that for the duration of the show.
Jesus. How the hell did you keep your composure while that shit was going on? My God.
It was difficult. We didn't want to miss you too much, so all right. I got MZ's feed now. And also we are broadcasting from the Lair of the Gods. Aries is joining us in a blood-soaked Dario Argento nightmare over there. What's going on, Aries?
I splurged on a light bulb.
Well, it's like a $40, $50 light bulb?
5. I went to 5 below.
Aries has got 5 on it. So there you go. Look at this. Look at this guy. MZ with the bare walls. It's like you're fucking moving sooner or something.
Yeah, well, there's a good reason for that, because I am. Yeah, one more month here, and that's it.
So, yeah, I mean...
up north.
Skowhegan, Skahaugen, Skabaugen. Right? Something like that?
Skowhegan, Maine.
Okay. They have a drive-in.
The most Maine-sounding town in all of Maine.
And apparently they have a drive-in there and an industrial park. So MZ's going to be in heaven.
Yeah, it's good. They watch TV, but it ain't plugged in. There's 3 cops. There's like one uniform. They passed it around. It's nice. Bubba, you wore the hat last week? No, Tommy. I want to wear the pants. Perfect.
And also, Raven Chow, you have someone there in studio.
Yeah, I fucking do.
Go ahead and talk about it, man. Do your intro.
Oh.
The thing you like to do.
I got the fucking, he breaks records when he sells his records. He's a fucking, the prolific projectionist. He's fucking knows a whole bunch of shit about 35 millimeter film, and prints, you know, not only the Minnesota musician, but also like film prints, right? You know, a lot about that.
Josh likes to clean his vinyl in Lake Minnetonka, right? Is that how he gets it clean?
Yeah.
Yes.
You do. Yeah.
It has to be purified in the waters.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, they say he's a fucking projectionist. He fucking has a helicopter, and he's fucking dope. He's smart, and he's smart, and he's smart. Fucking Arkham Josh.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for letting us have you, Josh. It's always a pleasure. We had booked Josh this time weeks in advance. Got it all on the schedule early, and it just kind of worked out. I gave Josh a couple options, and he wanted to do the film X, so we held on to X for Josh's appearance. And I actually was hoping to get MZ on that one as well, but I knew with his move,
Told him I was going to be on, so he was like, "I'm in."
I know with his move coming up, I wasn't sure what his availability would be like, but MZ has joined us for Ty West films in the past, and I had a feeling that he might be interested in checking out X. And then we had the added bonus of our buddy Karando Mitsutake, amazing director, reached out to us and said, "Hey, I would love for you guys to review my movie Maniac Driver. It is not available in America yet unless you get it from Diabolic DVD. It doesn't have American distribution for streaming yet." And he said, "I want you guys to check it out if you're willing to do so." And of course, we are willing because Karando is our dude. And for that, we thought it would be a great idea to have MZ on to join us for a Karando Mitsutake joint, and also for the latest Ty West. So it worked out pretty good. We got both Josh and MZ for this one, and it should be a lot of fun to talk about these movies. I'm looking forward to it. This is probably our sexiest show ever, right? Meaning like the movies we're talking about.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of beef on this episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of beef at this table, pal. No, Josh is great, but you know what I mean. Just saying. But yeah, no, the films. Yes.
Yes, we had, and MZ has some experience with the Pinky films in the Japanese Pink films, and I think Josh probably knows a little bit more than the rest of us do about them. So it'll be interesting to sort of break those down, to talk about the influences that Maniac Driver has. But also, I mean, X obviously has a lot of influences, so it should be good. I'm glad to have you guys both in tow for this one because I think we're going to lean heavily on your expertise. So we will get to those movies in just a little bit. We'll probably jump in a little bit earlier because I want to make sure we get some good conversation about both of these films. And we're verbose motherfuckers, so we might talk a while. So there's that. Looking forward to talking about those films. MZ, anything new? Obviously, I know you're moving. Your walls are bare, but anything else going on in the life of the vulgar guru of horror?
No.
No.
Right now, my whole life right now is surrounded by just
boxes.
Working my last few weeks at my job and boxes and moving. I mean, I'm just so sick and tired of moving. Really,
It's
I'm
the
just so
fucking
sick and
worst,
tired
dude,
of
yeah.
going up there, coming back. Because it's from here, from where I live to where I'm going to be living, is 230 miles. So that's 460 miles both ways.
Was it about 5 hour each way?
3.5 hours.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit better than I thought. Okay.
So to drive for 7 hours in a day, 460 miles roughly is and on top of that, taking unloading shit and trying to fix the place up a little bit when you got the time. It's taxing. It's very taxing, and what kills me is that I'm trying to tackle that yard. The people who owned the place before did nothing with it as far as upkeep goes. There's dead leaves everywhere, branches, bricks, and pots.
Dead bodies.
I'm waiting for a dead body to show up. I really have a feeling there's got to be at least one or two in there somewhere. But every time I go up there, it's fucking raining, and it's like I can't get any yard work done if it's raining the way it does up there. It's crazy. It's like it's sunny weather maybe a little chilly, but sunny weather regardless. But then the weekend will hit. It'll be like 50 degrees out, a little warmer, but it's fucking raining. And it's like 4 out of 5 times that's happened. Ridiculous. But
you're turned into an old man since you left the show.
I know.
What do you mean since he left the show?
Yard work. Oh God.
Well, I just want the place to look good. You know, we got the bathroom. The bathroom is almost all set. We got it painted, and the new floors are put in, and we got a new shitter in there.
Well, that's key. So, you'll need that.
Did you get your leaning post?
Yeah, you have your leaning post. You lean against the sink while you take a leak at 5 a.m. in the morning.
No, but I do love the fact that I got this huge ass, like, I showed a picture of it on Facebook of a Captain Caveman club. It looks like a fucking caveman's club. You should see this thing. It's ridiculous. I mean, it looks like a club, and I love it. And I tell my girlfriend, get out of line once, and you're going to be meeting the happy end of this thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And then she beats you with it.
Maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't changed.
You gonna fucking poop in her bed too? That's good.
There's like the yard has like 5 or 6 trellises, and ridiculous amount. And
gonna grow some grapes.
No, but you know what? There were, what were they? Peach and cherry trees. There were peach and cherry trees.
Peach and caterpillar trees.
I think there were peach trees. Well, that's just it. The bugs. So we got rid of. Get this. So we take down most of the trees. We haven't taken them all down yet. Just most of them. There's like 9 of them, and we took down 4 of them so far. All of a sudden, this old lady starts walking down the street, and she sees my girlfriend's sister, with the guy who's ripping the trees out. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And my girlfriend's sister's like, "We're removing these trees. We don't want them anymore." And she says, "Well, this is where I come to get my fruit." And I'm like, what the fuck? That's it. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, so my girlfriend's telling me about this. And like, what? So she comes over to our place to pick fruit out of our trees. Apparently, so that happens to be the case. Now, on the same day, the guy, one of the guys who lives across the street comes over and gives my girlfriend's sister a key. She goes, "What's this?" And he says, "This is the key to your house."
What the fuck?
And we're like, "What? Wait, what?"
This is the beginning of a horror movie.
I have a feeling it is. And she's like, "Well, what do you do with a key to our house?" I mean, not that it could do anything because we replaced the locks already. But he was like, "Well, the guy who occasionally lives here, not all the time, he usually calls on me to look after the place to see how things are inside and everything like that." So, I mean, on one end, it's kind of nice to be in a rather trusting neighborhood, but at the same time, I'm saying to myself, what the fuck is going on here?
So is it the person who's been squatting that has the key?
I mean, are you going to have some random guy show up? I live here occasionally. Like, is he going to come up like in the summer? This is where I summer, so I'll be here in the spare bedroom. Don't mind me.
Yeah, it's very comforting to know
I haven't
in and out of your house. Who knows all those trap doors and the locations?
Hey, plus that guy. Actually, he's really going to be mad that's because that's where he goes to get his fruit.
Yeah, right. mean, there's only one place in the house I haven't checked yet, and that's the attic. I haven't checked that out yet.
Yeah, why do that?
Yeah, why bother now?
You bought a house and you haven't checked every room of it yet?
That's where they keep the bodies.
Well,
Yeah,
the attic is
I'm sorry, but before you commit to pay a lot of money for a house, you should look at every room.
Oh, baby's probably fine.
Well, there's a loose wire situation over by the door where the attic
there's
is,
a loose wire, all right.
Yeah. So
Wait,
we gotta
so
get that thing.
you're gonna look at the whole house, and there's a loose wire prohibiting from you looking at the whole house. And you still.
Don't touch it, baby.
Did you like woke up, lick your fingers? Is that live? Is that live? And just start tapping at it?
Well, look, I mean, it's a fixer-upper. We got it at a good price. It's a fixer-upper, and it's going to cost a few bucks to get it done. But we're marching forward. You know, we're getting a lot of things done. We got, like I said, we got the locks replaced. We got the bathroom almost done. We ordered carpet, and we got the new oven and refrigerator in already. We're going to have an electrician come in. We've already taken care of that. We're going to have the deck repainted. So there's a lot of things that we've done so far.
Free food.
I love how that you were like. There's a lot of things we've done. We've hired people to do all of it.
Well, yeah. Well, that's right. That's how you get things done.
But none of them was a home
get
inspector.
somebody else.
Fuck that.
Hey, I'm taking care of the yard. I'm working on the yard. So.
Oh, it's gonna be a rough shape then.
Yeah, you just said you had someone else cutting the trees down.
Well, that's the trees, not the yard.
Wait, but so
Are the trees in the living room?
So you're getting rid of all the trees, but are you
I
the trees?
I don't know how to do trees, but I know how to maintain a lawn. So the lawn itself, I'm taking care of. Getting rid of all the dead branches, all the dead leaves, all the dead possible animals that might be buried in there somewhere. I don't know. Maybe even a body or two. Who knows? But
No, they're all in the attic.
they very well could be. They very well could. There could be a whole stack of them up in that attic. I don't know.
Death is better.
I'm eager to find out.
Well, apparently you're not that eager.
Oh, I'm eager.
So now you guys all know, if you ever have MZ come in your house and you want him to stay out of part of the house, just put up a sign that says loose wires.
Yeah. Ain't going there, baby. I don't know what the fuck. I can't tell you.
I'm also getting another cat, and I'm getting a new doggy. So that's gonna be fun.
Another dog?
Does that mean you have a dog already?
No, I don't. Well, I'm going to be having a dog. I don't have a dog right now. Yeah, he's up there already.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
If he lets you move in, he might not like you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, he loves me.
Awesome.
He's a big dog too.
Well, I'm happy for you, man. I'm happy you got some stuff going on. You're gonna be fucking what's the guy who talks to the animals?
Oh, Doug Doolittle?
Doug Doolittle, yeah. He'll be Dr. D.O. Little. Dr. Doolittle.
I mean, look at him.
Who's that guy?
He's pretty cute. That's a pretty cute dog right there.
Look at him. He's so dopey looking.
Well, he's perfect for you then, yeah.
Sometimes when pets look like their owners.
Didn't you miss us, MZ?
Oh yeah, I've missed this.
You need to, I want you to.
Why did I believe?
I want some fucking found footage of you being in that house. I just want you going into the attic for the first time. I want you to just like film. I want you to live stream.
Yeah, you definitely need to film you going into the attic for the first time.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Premium content.
It'll be like paranormal.
I cannot wait to see what you find in that fucking thing.
No, it's true. And MZ, it's not a dig. Like, when you buy a house. I mean, everyone, Josh, Aries, myself, have all done that. And like, and I don't know about you, but apparently you didn't have a home inspector. My home inspector did have the line about they don't check for supernatural entities, which mine did have that. But like, there are things that you have to deal with, and then there are the surprises. Right, everyone who's at a house has surprises, right? Like, what the fuck? Why is that? That sucks.
We've come across our fair share of surprises, believe me, and there's some. Well, I won't get into it, but legal ramifications that we're experiencing and going through with right now with the guy who owned the place. So,
the guy who lives there sometimes.
Yeah, the squatter.
I'll just leave it at that, though.
It's the guy living in the attic.
Yeah,
yeah. That's why you don't go up there. He's in there.
It's so cheap. You can have it all but the attic. And don't touch my fucking fruit trees. What the fuck, motherfucker?
He probably he probably charged people admission to like come get fruit from his yard. And now they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was his income all summer.
Yeah.
It's like a major food source for the town. It's very like what do you call it? Like kingish, right? Like you're gonna have the old lady who fucking got the peaches in her plums. She'll be fucking pissed. You got the hermit who used to live in there.
Oh,
on
we're
the
gonna talk
weekend.
about old ladies who got peaches and plums tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. Oh boy.
All right, so glad we catch up with MZ. Now let's catch up with Josh. Josh, you slinging the vinyl? Is that still going on? Is that still happening?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing all the time.
Awesome. I saw you did. I don't know if it was this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, but I saw you did a show in Boston. How did that one go?
Went pretty good.
Yeah.
It was more of like a vintage clothes and stuff. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, we did all right.
Good. And once again, Josh is on Discogs. I'll pull that up real quick. But while I'm pulling that up, Josh, what are some of the new additions that you've been adding to the collection? I remember last time we had some fun talking about some of the albums that you had picked out, some of the ones that you had added.
Let's see here. I can pull up my shop and I can see what some of the new things are in there. I don't think there's anything like crazy good, like new right now. But let's see here. I've got a lot of dance singles. But I've got some Queen records, some
Nice.
Blind Faith. Yeah. So I mean, some Lou Reed went up recently. There's a big mix of stuff that has gone up. But yeah, right now I've actually been going through a big collection of random dance singles. So
Nice.
yeah, there's definitely some good stuff.
Do you have Barbie Girl?
From what era?
Do you have Barbie Girl? Aqua?
From 70s through 90s, I do not have Barbie Girl. Not yet, anyway. I'll keep an eye out for you. It's the only thing that appeases the man in the attic. But yes, Aries, I think you asked era, and
Yes.
I think it seems to be mostly 70s and 80s with some 90s.
Okay, 70s and 80s. That's a good era for the dance music.
Yeah.
90s is when it starts getting sketchy.
Yeah. So is there something that you're looking for, Aries? I know MZ needs Barbie.
No, not in particular. I'm just always curious. I don't know. I'd like to boogie down when I'm in my house alone.
All right, I gotcha.
I've
Can you
never.
imagine that sight?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I've ever imagined those words coming out of Aries' mouth. Boogie down in my house.
Now, Johnny, just make a mental note. Premium content.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Aries one-man dance party. Charge people like an extra $20 to watch it.
Live stream.
Yeah.
So if folks do want to check out Josh's shop, I pulled it up. It's discogs.com/seller/jgravel. So you can go ahead and it looks like, Josh, you got 2,603 records up for sale right now. That's a lot of fucking records, man.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. So let me see. I want to sort. I want to look price. Let's see the highest price album you got. Let's want to see what this is.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Steve Drake Band, Nature Intended LP. It is in very good shape. Let's see. Do I have a year? No, I don't see a year. But $250 for the Steve Drake Band.
Yeah, and that's actually an interesting record. It's put out by a label called Tiger Lily, and everything that label put out is highly collectible because the entire purpose of the label was a tax scam. So it's a sub-label. It was started by somebody who owned another label and the person who owned Strawberries Records, the chain.
Oh, my God.
Everything that they put out, pretty much, they either lied about how many they pressed or they instantly destroyed half of them and claimed a loss. And the ones that did get sold all got dumped right into the clearance bin of Strawberries. So like everything that they released, what like is impossible to find, and just the whole point of it was so that they could make a business and show that it was losing money, so that they could offset taxes on the store.
That is ridiculous. That's kind of amazing, though.
Yeah, and the other interesting thing is about half the releases that they put out are technically bootlegs because they went through the vaults of like I said, one of the guys actually worked for a major record label. They went through the vaults and they would take like demo recordings of bands that never got signed, make up a fake band name and credits, and just put out a record using their songs.
Holy shit.
So that Steve Drake record, there's about 4 or 5 songs are a guy named Steve Drake from Long Island who like kept submitting demos to different labels and stuff. But the other half of the record is just random other songs that they found. They're like, oh, it's all rock. It goes.
That is crazy. I can see why that is the highest price album on your store right now. And I imagine there's not many out there because if it was basically a tax scam and then they immediately dropped him in the nickel bins or whatever you want to call it, like no one probably wanted it. So there probably aren't many out there in the world.
And from what little I've been able to gather is they would either have a bunch of them destroyed so they could claim a loss, or they would say like, oh, we pressed like 10,000 of these, but they really only pressed 1,000. Like,
that is nuts.
Yeah.
That's a super interesting story. Like, I'm actually glad I asked about that one. I had no idea. It's funny because I used to actually work for Strawberries way back in the day. So kind of a funny little connection there.
Yeah. And I think mine still has the Strawberries price tag on it.
Amazing. And the second highest priced album, well, there's a few for this price, but Mariah Carey, Jesus Born on This Day, CD single promo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Here's I'll be really quick about this, but because I've been going through this huge collection of like dance singles and stuff, I realized that you hit a point in like the 90s where the actual 12-inch record single for a lot of hip hop and dance music is worth almost nothing. but the CD version of it is worth an astronomical amount. And the only thing I can think of is that since that stuff was mostly marketed towards DJs, the majority of the people that bought it or had it got it the vinyl. So there's probably a huge percentage more vinyl for that title floating around than there is the actual CD.
That's pretty interesting.
Because in most cases, almost anything from the 80s and 90s and forward, it's always the vinyl that's worth more than the CD, except for like a 5-year period of like singles in the 90s.
That's pretty crazy. So look at that. Look at all these stories that Josh can tell you about vinyl. So if you guys are into vinyl, you collect, or you just prefer to listen to your music on vinyl, once again, hit up Josh's Discogs, DISCOGS, discogs.com/seller/jgravel. And you can have a look at Josh's inventory there. So pretty cool.
Now we got to put together a playlist for Aries.
Yes, of 90s dance singles.
No, 70s and 80s. Come on.
All right, I guess we'll compromise 70s and 80s for Aries.
Yeah, 90s you just get me standing there looking angry. You can get that no matter what.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how is that different from any other day? True. Let me see. In the chat room, Corny says, "Holy shit, MZ is here." So Corny's excited and surprised, and he says, "Is the house haunted?" And then Marion commented, "Probably. He just admitted he's never checked the attic." And Corny says, "You always check the attic. Hasn't he seen Sinister, or was it Insidious? He forgot."
Yeah. Haven't you seen any horror movie?
Yeah.
I mean, god damn.
No, I did ask the realtor about anything shady, like supernatural, or if any murderers any people died in this house or whatever, anything like that. He says nothing. The house was built in 1915.
Okay, well, here's the question. Did you look up Maine law as to whether they need to disclose that?
No.
Well,
Not every state needs to disclose that.
But what I also did is that on my trusty Android, I downloaded a ghost app.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sure it's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
That
it does detect people. It really does.
That's not a ghost.
It's a ghost in training.
Yeah.
True.
It's pretty cool. It's like they call fucking people busters.
Yeah.
I ain't afraid of no person. No, it's when they're ghosts.
Dude, that's something is when
And
a
there
person on the screen it says future ghost.
Future ghost.
there was nothing there, so I checked it out.
So it must be legit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It has to be.
The app don't lie. Evil Corny says,
I believe everyone. I believe everything everyone says on the internet.
I ain't
well,
afraid of that.
yeah. Corny says, a realtor ain't going to tell you shit. They making a sale.
Anybody dying here? Not as far as you know. Perfect. Sign here,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
you guys should have checked the records to make sure no one died in there.
Hey, whether somebody died in there or not, it doesn't really matter to me. I just like the story. If it's true, I like the story. I mean, if it is haunted, which I doubt, I don't think so. But even if it is, cool beans. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Beans. Well, you did live in what was the last apartment you lived in? It used to be a funeral home, right?
Used to be a mortuary.
Mortuary. Okay, so definitely a lot of dead bodies went through there.
Yeah.
We just found
And
some tiny shoes.
Not a single.
Well, because no one died there. The body would show up. The spirit would be someplace else.
Oh, true.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
It's kind of like if you were in a cemetery during a zombie apocalypse, that'd be the best place to be because all the zombies are gone, right?
Yeah.
Well, the fresh bodies would still be there. You want to be in the old portion of the cemetery, I guess.
No, you just go to the cemetery after all the fresh bodies get up and leave.
Yeah.
You just got to time it right.
It's that
Yeah.
tense.
You gotta time it right.
No, I'm sure it's really good.
Evil Corny said, timestamp that for his memorial service, Wolfie. All right, so I do want to get talking about some of these movies, so I think we should probably do that. Raven Chow, what I'm going to do is, since we're kind of taking a slightly abbreviated intro, let's jump right into the first film, and then what we'll do is we'll take a break between films, okay? Are you okay with that, Raven Chow?
All right.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll just do a quick kind of, talk about how to support the show. And if you guys want to, head on over to patreon.com/trickortreatradio, and you can help support for as little as $2 a month. And if you guys want to hear all of the Patreon exclusive episodes, most of which have MZ on them, up until this year anyways, you can go ahead and check those out. There is 30-something, I forget. But we are going to be recording a new one this weekend, and it should be kind of fun. All I'm going to say is it is going to involve a list. It's going to involve Star Wars, and it's going to involve my boy Rocky as well. So hold on to your butts. Yes, Raven Shadow.
I think he's our boy, Johnny.
How long have you known Rocky?
Enough, okay?
Enough what?
Enough to count to be in boy class.
Boy class? Is that,
I don't want to boy class.
No, but you're my boy to be like to be like to be what do you call it? Classified
Okay.
as my
Okay,
boy.
classified.
What have you done that would classify you as Rocky's boy?
A lot of conversations, Aries.
So you've talked to him.
Yeah, I
You've
know it's
talked to a
worse.
lot of people.
Who? I'm fucking fascinated by that because I know who it's not. I'll tell you that much.
Wow.
Holy Jesus
Wow.
Christ!
But I know we had real life.
I'm
Can I
sorry.
leave?
That nerve is
MZ.
exposed. I'm sorry,
MZ's like, what am I
Josh.
doing?
Can you cover that nerve up, please? Because I tap it. There you go. Thank you.
Feels good, Josh. Yeah, I like that. It's nice.
Oh, shit. Raven Shaw got touched. He's been wanting that for so long.
Quick, get the selfie.
Get the selfie stick. He's like,
Come on.
Josh, get the selfie stick.
Gravel, get the stick.
So Raven Shaw is going to go to boy class. I don't know what they teach you in boy class, but
So yes, yeah, you're in a class. Like your
yeah,
strength
like
level.
school, right? I gotcha. Class.
And I quit school because of recess, but no, like
No, like the social construct of class.
See,
Like
Josh.
middle class.
Yeah, Josh needs to transcribe for you.
Yes.
I don't know. Kind of like you like X-wing class, right?
Yeah.
That's the size of a ship, right? X-wing class is a small, one-man fighter, or like your class is strength. You're in Superman's class. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in like, oh, it's my boy class, like that's enough where you're in that.
Yeah, you just need to
relationship.
come up with a different thing to say because boy class sounds awful.
Well, yeah, well, fine. Ain't like the fucking young boys in wrestling. All them, the young boys who get the ring set up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you my dog. He's my dog class. Ain't that right, Ollie?
Yeah, Ollie might be jealous now.
We were so close to reviewing the first film.
I just want to throw out the disclaimer: the views of Michael Raven Shadow may not necessarily reflect the views of the rest of Trick or Treat Radio. Continue your wherever you're going, the downward spiral.
So my boy Rocky. I've met him in person, Raven Shadow. Okay, so
Ooh.
there you go.
We've done. You know what I mean? We've shot pictures of each other.
Yeah, but you haven't like physically helped him, or he hasn't physically helped you with anything.
True.
See, here's the problem, Raven Shadows. You've been in boy class with him. He went to like boy grad school with him.
Oh yeah, more like.
So like they've progressed further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has Rocky ever taken your door off your house?
No, yeah, he is
So
not.
there
He's
you go.
not. Try really hard.
I'm
All
worried.
right.
What's that euphemism for?
Yeah.
So
Has Rocky taken your door off, Wolfie?
I don't know, but
When
I
you-
know Aries has taken your door off. So
Listen, this is not
and he
who's
put a
taking whose
couch
door.
and he put a couch inside of it.
That's that really happened. Okay.
Raven Shadow likes to park his car in the same driveway anyway, so
Aries parks his couch in the same. Yeah.
in the same house. All right.
Hello.
We double stacked our cars into the garage.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Okay.
So, anyways, Rocky will be joining us. How about that? Is that fine?
Why can't he be our friend?
I did say that. I said our friend earlier.
No. You
He's
said-
our friend, but he's Johnny's boy.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm calling Rock now. What do you think of that?
Go ahead. Do it.
A waste of showtime.
Yeah, do it. Go ahead. Call.
Oh, there's a
Josh,
weird message.
reach over and shut off Raven Shadow's mic. It'll take him about a half hour to figure that one out.
I think Rocky messaged me. Put it on, Josh.
I don't know if I got it off. Should have just unplugged the cord.
Yeah, he'll never know how to plug it back in.
You got to line up the 3 prongs.
And so that Patreon episode will be coming out on May the 4th. So we're gonna do a Star Wars themed episode and release it on May the 4th. So I got that to look forward to, and that should be interesting. We'll say that. What else? Also, yeah, actually, later on in the show, we will announce our next Patreon takeover, which will be happening next week. It's going to be a crazy one, Raven Shadow. You know.
I know. I'm looking to get Friday off. What do you think of that?
All right. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but we do have a Patreon takeover next week. So if you guys want to get in on that, you can also look into the tier that has the Patreon takeover, and you can come on the air, join us, and you can program the show, pick a film or two, and join us and hang out and shoot the shit. So check it out, patreon.com/trickortreatradio. All right. Also, we have the Amazon link. Go to trickortreatradio.com. Scroll down. You see the Amazon logo. You click it. It's going to bring you to Amazon. It's going to input our affiliate link. You buy all the shit that you need. Doesn't cost them any extra, Raven Shadow.
But it's another way to help keep the lights on.
So you can go ahead and help support that way. And finally, you can go to trickortreatradio.com, click on store. We have this guy named Monster Zero hanging out with us. He's been on the show 9+ years before hanging up the headset. And there are a lot of greatest hits from Monster Zero on our greatest hits in the store. So you guys want to check some of that out. We've been doing the show for a very long time, coming up on 10 years. And I don't expect everyone has heard everything. So you can check out the greatest hits, volumes 1 through 3, and get like a little sampler of everything over the course of the many, many years of Trick or Treat Radio. And as I mentioned, you'll hear a lot of MZ on there. So if you miss him, you can go ahead and do that. All right. So we'll do this, Raven Shadow. You know what? Actually, we'll hold on. We'll hold on to what you did when we talk about the next film. Okay, we'll leave that because that's a good one before the break. All right, but we're gonna jump right into our first film discussion, and the film we're gonna talk about first is X from 2022. This film is rated R, and it is an hour and 45 minutes. It is written and directed by Ty West, who is a very, I wouldn't say polarizing. I think for the most part we dig his output. It was really just his ABCs of Death, M is for Miscarriage, that I think we universally disliked. And
Listen, he owed somebody some money.
And
what's that, MZ?
Was that?
Sacrament.
And yeah, actually, I didn't love Sacrament. I think it's a good movie. I think that some other decisions could have been made to make it better. So yeah, that's another one. And then In the Valley of Violence was fine, but I wanted to see him return to horror because that wasn't horror per se. And he's been doing a lot of television, but I'm really glad that he returned to horror because we get another Ty West film to talk about. And I've been looking forward to this one. And the film stars Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, Brittany Snow, Kid Cudi, Martin Henderson, Owen Campbell, Stephen Ure, James Galen, and that's pretty much it. Got some other bit characters there. But the synopsis, in 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas. But when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast find themselves fighting for their lives. So, all right, well, let's dive into Ty West's X. And this is a film from A24, and it got a theatrical release earlier this year. It just hit VOD on the 14th of April, so it was 2 weeks ago as of this recording. And it seemed to get a lot of pretty good praise from what I've seen of people really digging it and thinking it's kind of a return to form for Ty West. Just real quick, we have talked about Ty West a lot in the past, but just to refresh folks if they're not familiar with his work, he started out with a film called The Roost, which got a pretty good amount of praise. And then he did a film called Trigger Man. And then in 2009, he released, I think one of the greatest horror films of the 2000s in The House of the Devil, which I feel is a masterpiece. I think, MZ, do you agree with me on that one?
Oh, absolutely. It strangles you when you watch it. It's so terrifying, claustrophobic. I just don't know how to describe just how incredible this movie is. It's so well acted, and it's got a great tone to it. If you haven't seen it, by all means,
yeah,
go out of your way to see this movie. It is worth it.
Yeah. Anyone want to add anything else about House of the Devil? It's just a really fucking good movie. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. I would not be surprised. I'll check real quick to see if it's streaming anywhere. I would be surprised if it weren't. But yeah, so, and then after that, he did Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever, and then he followed that up with The Innkeepers, which we also discussed on the show. He did a segment in the first VHS, and then he did, as we talked about, the aforementioned M is for Miscarriage and the ABCs of Death. He followed that up with The Sacrament, and then he started to do television. So he did an episode of Scream, the TV series, and then he did his film In a Valley of Violence. And since then, he's just done television. He's done such shows. He has dabbled in a lot of horror. He's done Outcast, The Exorcist, TV show, Them, which I still haven't seen the series Them, but I heard some it's a pretty gnarly show from what I understand. And then, yeah, so in 2022, he released X, which we are going to be discussing right now. It does look like, let me see where House of the Devil is streaming. I think it's on Shudder. Yeah, I think it's on Shudder. So if you guys have Shudder, you can just watch House of the Devil right there. Yeah, it is. So you can, if you guys have Shudder and you want to see House of the Devil and you haven't, I completely, wholeheartedly recommend that. It is, I feel, in my estimation, a masterpiece of horror. All right, so X. Now that we've talked a little bit about Ty West and some of his previous work, I want to dive into this. And if you don't mind me putting you on the spot, MZ, I kind of want to get your take on this, because as a fan of horror and a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's definitely some similarities, at least in the setup. And And taking place in Texas and, being an old farmhouse. I mean, there definitely is some similarities, but I just wanted to get your kind of initial impression of the film. You don't have to give away your verdict, but, like maybe some highlights.
Well, when I first heard about through Facebook about how people were comparing this to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm like, boy, we can't have that, now, can we? Then I watched it, and I'm like, okay, there are some outside similarities involved, but to compare this to Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not right. I'm not saying this movie is bad by any stretch, but I mean, let's see. Now, as far as my highlights, well.
Or just,
well,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
well, I just want to say, well, I love the look of the film.
Yeah.
Ty West has a real knack for nailing down late 70s style. With House of the Devil and Here, and I think even Sacrament as well. He has a real knack for nailing down that late 70s motif. Everyone here looks really, really good. It just has an authenticity to it that so few that can make come alive. Astron 6 is another one with the editor. Had a very 70s motif to it, late 70s motif, and it worked. Here, it works. Let's see. I like how this film, I mean, they're taking the idea of porn filmmaking, which of course I'm going to champion. And
well, that was your aspiration for a while.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Rocky overhang.
It still is in my old age. But the whole idea of sex kind of runs itself throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
Definitely sex is sexuality.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a very heavy theme in this movie. And to the point where it gets fairly disturbing and kind of grotesque. But I like that. I like the fact that the idea of sex doesn't stop with just the pretty people, and that Ty West is not afraid to go over that boundary. That even me, I didn't think it was going to go there, but it went there, and I was really shocked and pleasantly surprised. I'm like, God damn! Now
that dives into a different aspect of horror. I mean, horror doesn't necessarily have to be physical violence and blood and guts. It is whatever you think is disturbing, and those scenes were disturbing.
Yeah, a little funny too. If you got a
I mean, there was some comedic aspect to it at the same time. Yes,
but at the same time, it was also somewhat sad. It was almost though as if it had a kind of like a sad emotional attachment to it. You almost felt sorry. You almost had sort of a pity feel to a couple of these characters in regards to that.
Throughout the whole thing, there was sadness with a lot of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's weird how sex and emotion can go hand in hand.
But sex, I mean, come on. Yeah, but I mean, you got Mia Goth, who looks incredibly fresh-faced here. I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, I never really noticed her before. I know she's in the remake of Suspiria, and I should take it from that. But I really like the look of the freckles around her right eye. She's got this little patch of freckles going on there.
Yeah.
It kind of gives her a real fresh-faced look. And even though she's got her own sad story to tell, I don't feel like it really comes to full fruition, but I don't think that really matters, to be perfectly honest. I mean, she wants to make it big. She wants to be a celebrity, but here she is. She's binging on cocaine throughout the entire film, and she's gonna be a big star in a porno film, and she wants to make it big. And I mean, I was pulling for her more than one way, if you catch my drift.
Oh my God!
And
God damn it!
Heck, I pulled it about 4 or 5 times for her before this episode.
And she wants to make it big in porn, and she's doing all this cocaine and all this sex and porn and cocaine and sex.
Porn,
Raven
and
Shadow.
sex, porn, and cocaine.
Oh God.
Oh God! Grab a tissue. Grab a tissue. Get back to us.
Oh God! Look what I'm doing to myself. Anyway, I think Ty West really captured a really strong emotional connection with everybody here, as far as sex and it's the success of it, the joy of it, and the sadness of it, and along with that is also a disturbing aspect of it, and a lot of violence gets involved in there as well. So I think he made a pretty strong film here, just on based on that.
Well, see, I just didn't like that one character aspect, the one character trait, the entitlement. That seemed more of a modern thing, like that whole "I deserve this." Like that just seemed very now. That I mean, I'm not being of that age in that era. I don't know, but that just seems like a very modern thing to me.
It's more of a
that
positive.
Took me out of it a little bit.
It's more of a positive affirmation.
But it was also like the equal rights movement, women's lib, burning bras. I mean, women were really starting to take control of themselves at that point.
But it wasn't just that. It was "I deserve this."
But also
the wording is what bothered me.
See, I think I'm with it because it's 1979. You're right on the cusp of the 80s. The young adults of the 80s are often referred to as the me generation.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a woman in 1979, but
oh, sure you did.
But I think the thing is, it's just kind of a positive affirmation. Like, it sounds like, or it seemed like to me that she was someone who is sort of really trying to make something of herself and trying to make herself believe it. So that's why it made sense to me. Like, I get what you're saying, that maybe it sounds like it's more of a sort of like entitled, sort of like millennial thing, but I think that transcends generations, and I think that people, I think that's been people all throughout history, is like, this is something I deserve. I deserve fame. I deserve this. So I don't think it's like a more modern thing.
I've never heard that the "I deserve whatever" when looking backwards. It just seemed more of a modern thing. I understand that she probably, she had aspirations and she felt that, that she was deserving of that, but just the wording of that was just a very modern term for me. And that was just one little thing that took me out of the period piece.
One thing I will say is that if it was more than just her character talking like that, I feel like I would agree with you. But I feel like since it was just her character, I think they were just trying to kind of display the drive of that character. But I do see what you're talking about with the phrasing and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I mean, in that period, it was more of how you looked more than how you were. So It would have been more of I am pretty enough for this. I am sexy enough for this. Not that she deserves this, is that she looks good enough for it. And I think that it is amongst wording of the period.
I hear what you're saying, Aries, but I think some of that too. I mean, if you ever watched the Lovelace movie, which is actually kind of good.
Oh, Linda Lovelace.
Yeah, with James Franco and shit like that. But
yeah,
I don't think you get into this profession out of making a lot of good decisions and good opportunity, right? So I think she's gone through a lot, and I don't think the drugs that she was taking might also to get into character, and I think maybe she's probably experienced things that maybe she shouldn't have. So I think some of that, the deservedness, or maybe the air quotes entitlement, might have been, all right, she paid her dues in probably some pretty nefarious ways, and maybe this is some chance to get out and make out of your small town Texas backwater.
Okay, well, I just want to point out that you're defending a period piece with a period piece.
Well, one really happened in real life, but yes, regardless.
Yes, no. It is based on true events, but it still is a period piece.
Right. So
because
I think
it is not a documentary.
It's true, and you're not listening right now. So I'm gonna ask you to take a step back with the new lighting, and because this is a star in a movie.
Okay, no. Go ahead.
You're still talking. You're still talking and making noises. You're not listening.
Wow.
Let's play the listen game, okay? So
talk.
That's not
Raven
listening.
Shadow learned that from boy school.
Right, Josh. What part of talking is listening? I'm not sure what that is. So
I'm sorry. Every time I stop talking, you tell me to stop talking. So here it is. I'm done. Talk.
Every time you say you're not talking, you still make noises.
Oh my god! He just talks.
I'm sorry. I'm done. I can't. I'm done.
Raven Shadow, you're pushing this one too far.
But no, the whole
he's
point,
gone now. You made him leave.
Perfect. But she really was an actress though, so I think they're taking that porn thing and they're maybe making it on someone who really lived that lifestyle. That was the point I was trying to make by that.
Why'd you make him leave?
I am not worries.
Wow, man.
Jesus.
Maybe he wanted to, maybe he had something to say. I want to hear what he said about this movie and Maniac Driver.
So he wasn't doing the super aggressive thing that he's been doing for the last 4 or 5 weeks, jumping on shit.
4 or 5 weeks? How long have you known him?
I think.
In particular.
I think I hear him banging on Raven Shadow's door right now.
Come in.
Yeah, did Corny send him the cash?
The cash app.
All right, well,
regardless,
down one. Put the technical difficulties on. Maybe
I'm sure he'll be. Sure he'll be.
No, I don't think he will be. All right, well, let's continue. Jesus.
Is it just me? Because, not last time I was on, but the time before that, he left as well.
Oh, it might be you, Josh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, like about a month and a half ago when I was on MZ, he left mid-show.
Oh, I think we're getting somewhere now. No, just. All right. Well,
it's Shadow's fault. It's not mine.
That's
the
unfortunate.
last time I was on, he wasn't here at all.
See, and I was here too.
So it's you, Josh.
Uh huh.
So it's you.
Well, I'm just, in case he listens back, I'm going to officially apologize. I'm sorry that I encouraged Raven Shadow.
Trying to have a fucking conversation, and it just became fucking bitching to fucking bitch to bitch. I'm trying to fucking have a conversation, and it's a show fucking whatever the fuck. Regardless, moving on. Keep the show momentum going.
Okay, I guess we should get back to the review then.
Yeah, the discussion. I mean,
yeah. Okay.
All
right. Well, anyone else got any thoughts on the film?
Yeah. So I wanted to get our guests. So Josh, I know you've already chimed in a little bit, but was there anything else just about sort of, because I know you were excited to see this movie. So, Any initial thoughts before we sort of like dive into some of the more, details about it?
I am also a fan of Ty West. I think I have the same issues with certain releases of his that you guys have. But overall, I'm a fan. I think I agreed that House of the Devil was great. I really liked The Innkeepers. So I was really looking forward to this because besides being Ty West fan, I'm also a fan of 70s horror and 70s exploitation film, which porn partially falls under in that period. So so I was definitely interested in seeing this kind of, like you said, exploitation film meets, backwoods horror film kind of mashup. And I was pleasantly, it gave me exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, so I don't want to talk, obviously like there's not a ton you can really spoil in this in terms of like, I mean, there's a few things towards the end, but I think the interesting thing is that it sort of takes, I mean, our main characters, I guess, if you, like the main sort of narrative here is that Maxine, played by Mia Goth, is sort of on this ascend upward, or she's trying to be on the upward sort of rise of, she wants to be a star. She has all these dreams, and sort of juxtapose that against Pearl, the older woman, who has all these regrets. And it's almost like they're sort of like, in a sense, like, like an X, like they're like one's going one way and the other's going the other way. You know what I mean? So like, and they kind of meet in the middle. Like, I don't know if that has anything to do with the title. But that's sort of like one is on an upward trajectory and the other's on a downward trajectory. And, she's lived her life and she has regrets and, she didn't, like live all her dreams. So it's kind of interesting.
And there's also other things involving set characters that I really want to discuss, but at the same time, I don't know how much we're willing to give away, because also we saw this via VOD, so there is actually something that we are missing from not seeing the theatrical experience that will actually explain even more.
Oh, interesting. Is there a different cut?
So no. In the theaters, after the credits, was a trailer for a prequel that they already filmed explaining Pearl as a younger person.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
that I did hear that. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually had forgotten about that. And I do know that so Ty West has a movie in post-production right now called Pearl. So yeah, apparently it's already been shot. They cut the trailer together and showed it after the credits during the theatrical run. Yeah, that's really interesting. I think it's actually going to come out this year as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I totally forgot, so I'm glad you brought that up. And I don't know. I mean, I hesitate. I don't think it's spoilery. I hope it's not spoilery. But I guess
I think I know what you're going to say, like. I think you pick up on it within the first half of the film.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did pick up on it, and I was like, "Wait, is that or not?" Yeah. So it's really not. I don't think it's a spoiler, but in this, Mia Goth also plays the older lady Pearl as well. So Maxine, who is the main character, also plays Pearl.
So I think that further goes to exemplify the kind of crisscross trajectories that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Being have the same actor playing both characters.
Yeah.
And for people that want to know, when the Pearl film of Pearl as a younger person is also played by Mia Goth.
Yep. Yeah. Which it was actually a really good decision so that you can use her in both. And I do wonder, I mean, obviously, if this takes place in 79, I would imagine that would take place in the 20s, maybe? Depending on what year they go with.
I could say anywhere between 20s to 40s, depending on what age range they want to portray her in.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, MC?
No, I was just saying I was suggesting somewhere between mid to late 20s. Because, I mean, given the age of the character, of the older character, I would imagine I mean, probably somewhere in the 70s, maybe 80s.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think it was really just to. I assume he filmed him in tandem, or at least filmed it immediately after.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool that it's like, well, hey, I haven't done movies in a while. Here's one, and here's another one coming soon.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to it because if watching what plays out in X, you know that it is not, the behavior isn't necessarily new.
Yeah.
I mean, they hint to that in the film, but it's easily implied that this behavior could go back decades.
Yeah, so that's super interesting, and I think if you know that heading in, it's really not. I mean, if anything, you can look for it and say, oh yeah, because otherwise you might not even notice, right? Like, because I wasn't even positive. I was like, I think that might be her, but I'm not sure. But then when I looked at the credits, I was like, oh, well, okay, it's definitely her. So, it definitely isn't going to ruin the experience. If anything, it might help because you can kind of pick that stuff out. So,
right.
And there obviously was something about Maxine that Pearl gravitated towards. So,
right. Yeah. And I think I think that it's implied that it's more than just the fact that Maxine looks like a young Pearl.
Yeah.
I think that there are I think the implications is that not only is Pearl struggling with the decline of her looks and relationship, etc., in the face of these young people shooting a porno, but I think there's also a level of kind of like I guess a denied sexuality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that like I said, I didn't get to see the Pearl trailer either. So, but I'm guessing that is probably something that is explored in that film.
And Raven Shadow, what did you think of the sex scenes?
Well, it's funny. It's hard. It's hard. It's very few times when they can make, like, this is not a like comparison, but say like Zack and Mary make a porno, right? The comedy. None of that was like a real porno. I thought this definitely had a real porno kind of feel to it. I mean, it had nudity. I didn't shy away from that, but also I think it was still done classy in a way as well. And I think the one character who was the aspiring filmmaker, and this is once again, this is before Bang Brothers, and Brad, for those who Monster Zero knows what I'm talking about, or even like Cinemax. This is before the VHS world. This is when they actually films in the theaters. But the one kid wanted to actually make it shoot really good. So I think it did a good line. It blended the line of, all right, if they're making these kind of films, it did show you saw some business, and you saw some D, you saw some V, you saw some T, you saw all the letters. Definitely all the letters that showed you. It was definitely some Shadow D for those playing at home.
Oh yeah, that was funny. That was funny. To see where Kid Cootie's character is by the doorway, and and you can see his fucking dick swinging in the shadow.
Yeah, it was pretty much in your. Well, no, I wouldn't say in your face, but it was there.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. That was funny. And what about Kid Cudi? He's turning into a pretty good actor.
I don't know.
I mean, when I've seen him in only one other thing, and that was Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Oh, okay. I did see him in that then.
And I still don't know who Kid Cudi is. Is he a rapper? Is he an actor? You know, I mean,
Yeah, he is a musician. I know he had a hit, maybe 6 years ago, maybe more. A song called "Day and Night." It's a hip hop song. I don't really follow him, so I'm sure he's done stuff since then. But I know he kind of got, recognition musically, at least back then. And then, now he's been popping up in movies.
Well, I think he did a fairly decent job here. He downplayed it just enough to make him believable. You know, he wasn't over the top. He wasn't, I mean, playing a character in a porn notwithstanding. He wasn't like, big ass afro and the style and clothes and everything like that. He came across as really rather genuine. I thought he was a fairly decent actor in this. I was surprised.
Yeah.
And while we did see some adult content, I don't think it was all overly gratuitous. And I thought even the shots of the storyline, air quote storyline, was done in that classic form. Almost little Boogie Nights, a little bit, flashbacks. But
you mean
I thought I did
the porn movie they were making, The Farmer's Daughter.
Yeah. I'm saying the plot scenes.
Yeah. And I liked how, like, in a way, the plot scenes from the movie they were making kind of like tied into the narrative of the film in a sense, in some scenes anyways. And I actually thought the editing was really clever. A lot of the editing was done really well. And there was a lot of that 70s sort of, like, I know De Palma is, like, attributed to that split screen stuff, but I know he wasn't the only one doing it. But we get some split screen scenes that I think are kind of interesting. But yeah, I think generally the way this film is made is really pretty smart. And I did like how some of the sex scenes they were filming for the movie paralleled what was, sort of what was going on in the actual film that we were watching, So yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a lot of good stuff going on here. And, this one kind of flew under the radar. I didn't really hear much about it until, just before it was about to get released. There was some buzz about it. But yeah, I mean, it's a very simple setup, as we talked about. It's like, this crew, we have I guess the main cast was, Kid Cudi played Jackson, and then we had Mia Goth as Maxine and Brittany Snow as Bobby Lynn. And then we had Owen Campbell, who plays the character of RJ, who is the director, and he was, essentially filming it. And his girlfriend, Lorraine, played by Jenny Ortega. I thought that whole thing was really interesting, where she sort of got involved,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of an interesting subplot. And in a way, I thought we were going to get, like, I don't know why, but I kept thinking we were going to get, like, almost like a bait and switch, where it looks like Mia Goth is set up to be the star. And I thought that they were going to sort of, like, have Jenny Ortega sort of come in and sort of play that role. Like, it almost seemed like they were doing something like that, but I liked how it kind of played out, and the role that Jenny Ortega played in this. And also, like, with the stuff that happens to her character and what happens, like, the ramifications of a decision she makes, how she kind of swears off sex. It's almost like sex is the devil. Like, it made these bad things happen. And it kind of tied in with some of the evangelical stuff that we were hearing,
which kind of plays upon trope. I mean, here in this film, it was like Texas Chainsaw Massacre if they decided to shoot a porn, in the fucking family's backyard.
Right.
I wasn't sure what the punchline, what the slasher, what the threat was going to be.
Right, because it seems pretty mundane at first, right? You're like, okay, so there's this old couple, like, they look a little creepy, but okay, they're renting out like a cabin to these younger people to make a porn. They didn't know they were making a porn, but
Right, you're kind of waiting for like, where's the inbred brothers going to show up? Like, where's the evil mechanic? Where's all those, tropes?
Yeah.
Not the Firefly family. What the who's the chainsaw family?
Sawyer's, yeah.
Sawyer.
But I think there's something to be said about all the couple dynamics in this movie. On one hand, right, so sex is kind of like sex and drugs are the catalyst for a lot of slashes, right? When you fuck or do drugs, you die. So, okay, like, we're coming here to fuck and doing drugs. So it's kind of like they're putting it out on the table, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But I thought the couple dynamics, whether it be the older couple who ran the farmhouse, the starlet and the 40-something-year-old producer, the couple who work together, who they're friends, but they fuck, not really, and the actual couple who's actually a couple, and all what they go through and all their arcs, I think are very interesting. And I think amongst all the obvious, like the X aspect of it, the sex and the nudity, there's some pretty personal stories here.
Yeah.
And I think if you didn't have the horror element, the element about one character's decision and the impact it had on another character, was almost a horror movie in itself. You know what I mean? From a relationship point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that, and I think kind of what you said, like I didn't really view it as all these different couples at the time. Like, I was mostly focusing on Maxine and Pearl, but I mean, you are right. There's a lot of relationship dynamics. Everyone in this was involved in a relationship, and the relationships were all different, right? Like, they all had a different dynamic to them. So I think that is kind of interesting, and we could probably draw even more parallels, not just to Maxine and Pearl, but also like maybe there's some parallels or even some like the antithesis of, like we have Bobby Lynn and Jackson, Kid Cudi's character, who, I love that line where she's like, oh, is he your boyfriend? Sometimes, early on in the film. And, there's that versus the relationship between RJ and, what do they call her? Church Mouse? Her name was Lorraine, but they called her something like,
Church Mouse was the filmmaker's,
filmmaker's girl, Lorraine. Yep. Played by Jenny Ortega. So it's kind of interesting, almost like those two couples almost like run opposite each other as well. Like, where RJ was like, all like, no, she's not going to be in this Bourne movie. No way, and she was kind of repressed and Jenny Ortega's character, Lorraine. And then when she saw this, she felt like maybe this is empowering, like I see these other women and how they're, how they look and feel and sound and everything. And, so maybe this kind of felt empowering to her to want to do that, So I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting. And there isn't a lot of really good dynamics in this in terms of the couples and how they parallel each other at times. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I saw some people really raving about this, about how like this is, like a return to form. This is a great flick from Ty West, and I will agree. I think a lot of the praise threw me off a little bit because I was expecting, not necessarily like a twist or something like that. Like, I guess I was waiting for the other shoe to drop in a sense, and then when it kind of didn't, but did in a way, it just felt, I don't know, to me this movie went by really quickly. Like it didn't drag at all, and I felt like it took like once they got into it, it just sort of just kept going, and it didn't, there was no like, oh, let's try again tomorrow, or like, like there's no like repetition of scenes or anything like that. I feel like they got the most out of what they had here, and I thought it was kind of a lean, mean hour and 45, for what it was. It seemed like it just kept moving along, and I love the pacing of it, and I think I was expecting something else to happen, and that's what made it sort of like go along really well, because I was kind of on the edge of my seat, so to speak,
And this can be breezy for a Ty West movie. I mean, there's some ones that can kind of go, that can drag a little bit. I think the opening shot kind of set the table.
Oh, I love that opening shot. Yeah, and Josh can talk to this. It was like a 1:6:6 or aspect ratio. It was kind of like the.
So yeah. So the opening shot was more of like a 4:3 or 1:3.
You're right. Yeah,
square
not flat. Yeah, it would have been 4:3. You're right. Yep.
And then you realize that it's just looking through like the doors of the barn.
Doors, yeah.
But the other interesting thing is that that 1:3:3:4:3 aspect ratio, that's what 16 millimeter would be, and presumably they were probably shooting their film on 16 millimeter.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like just like kind of a little reference to that, maybe, you know.
Yeah, what were you gonna say, MZ?
I was just saying that, you know, his use of style as far as the 4:3:1:3:3 ratio goes, it was very cleverly done. It had me fooled because I was watching it. I was like, wait a second, wasn't that just how did? And then when they showed that it's actually just the doors, I'm like, oh shit, man.
Yeah, I love that slow. I love that slow pan. Yep. It was almost like we're coming out of the past, you know, like I just thought it was a really cool way to do it.
Very clever, very clever. Yeah, I mean, the pacing of this film is superb. Any slowdown that you might experience in this film is strictly due to building up tension, and there is a lot of it going on in this film. I think the performances here are solid. Kid Cudi is starting to impress me. I didn't know Mia Goth had the dual role of playing Pearl. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Not super obvious. I had an inkling, and then I looked it up and was like, oh, okay, yeah.
And Ty West is back to form here, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's a really, I think it's a super smart horror film, and I think you guys are right about like when you guys had mentioned sort of like, you know, when you think of slashers, it's the people who have sex that, you know, they always end up dying, and you know, but this takes that sort of into a different realm almost, and you know, it's almost like I kind of hate when people say this, but it's kind of a meditation on sex, like and you know, and the idea of growing old and not reaching your dreams and your aspirations, you know, and then when you are there, kind of thinking back in terms of how that affected your life and how you didn't achieve the things you wanted to. So I feel like it's just kind of an interesting duality to kind of have these two stories superimposed over each other. And I'm actually really curious to see what he's going to do with Pearl, and if it's going to give additional information. And you know, I'm sure it will flesh out her story, but I wonder how it'll play watching this movie again, having seen Pearl, you know.
Now something else that's interesting, because you brought up the kind of slasher trope of like the people that have sex get killed. But it's also worth pointing out that the first character to die was A, not the African American character, and B, the only character in the film that never had sex.
But did he refuse sex?
No, I'm not. We don't know what happened before the story timeline of the film.
No, I meant a decision he made. Receptive to.
I mean, I'm gonna assume so, in that he was in a relationship with somebody, but I'm just saying, as far as like within the story confines of all of our main characters, of being the people making the movie and then the couple at the farmhouse, that the first one to die was actually the only one out of all of those characters that didn't have sex within the confines of this story.
That's a good observation, yeah, because I hadn't even thought about that until now. We had,
and as pointed out, was not the African American character.
right, exactly, yeah. We do have Creepy Girls tuning in, MZ.
Hey,
Oh, just hey, huh?
hey, baby.
All right. And she says, hey, just tuned in, had a migraine. I didn't know it was her. I just knew the couple were fake old people. In other words, younger actors made up to look old. That's why I looked it up. Yeah. So, you could tell there's definitely something. I mean, it could have been older actors that just they made them up to look a little off, and for a while they weren't showing them close up. They were very much doing like long shots, wide shots of them. So
Shadows.
yeah. Corny just said the director died with blue balls.
No, that is another interesting thing to bring out is that I think one of the film's strongest points is the effects makeup, both the old age and the gore scenes. I mean, this had a lot of really impressive shots.
Yeah, it really did. And even the I guess the first kill kind of took kind of takes you by surprise, and it was pretty brutal. that did it for you, Raven Shadow?
Yeah, let's fucking just so you know, when business picks up, fucking.
I don't know. I think the toughest part for me was Jenny Ortega's hand when she tried to get out.
Oh God, yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
That looked pretty legit too, I'd say.
Yeah, she suffered for her art. She was hit for real.
There was that, and also, what was the other one? There's one other like super realistic. Oh, we did get some eye trauma, which is good. Always reminds me of Terror at the Opera, right? With the spike through the hole in the wall. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to really look into it, but I guess I had read somewhere where all of the deaths were foreshadowed either with images or dialogue earlier in the film.
Interesting. Okay.
So like the eyeball thing is earlier when they're talking about the scene they're going to film, and that guy says it'll make their eyes pop out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that now.
Well, there was definitely Schrodinger's crocodile.
Yeah.
No, I think you mean not Schrodinger.
Chekhov's
crocodile.
Well, that's the other thing. I wanted to bring that up about the crocodile because that means that there are basically two references to Tobe Hooper in this movie. One with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the second one with 1976's Eaten Alive with Neville Brand.
Yeah.
A recommended film, by the way. I might be playing on Tubi. It must be streaming somewhere. Recommended. Check it out.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to like about this film. There's a lot of depth to it as well. I think we could continue to talk more about this. I do kind of want to start to reel it in a bit. I think that the practical effects were done very well, and even we really only get, aside from the gas station, I think it's all filmed at the farm, right? The farmhouse.
Yeah, I think there's just some of the setup, because there's a location that they leave from.
Yeah.
So there's like a little bit here and there, but the majority of it is that one location.
And it didn't really, I didn't feel it was expansive enough where there's enough going on. Like I didn't feel that it didn't feel repetitive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And,
right.
I just think it was a masterful use of time and space. And what I mean is like the editing, the runtime, and the space that they had available to them. And there's still enough, like especially that, there's the scene where we see Mia Goth's character going, swimming in the water there when the old lady is watching her earlier. And then we kind of get to go back there later on, and as you mentioned, Chekhov's crocodile. So we do get like some nice foreshadowing too. So like you said, even with some of the dialogue, I'll have to go back and watch it. It sounds like we get some foreshadowing with how people ended up dying. So I think it's smart. There's a lot of setup here, and there's kind of a lot to dig into, upon subsequent watches. And I do feel that, Pearl is definitely going to add more to this as well. This is a very simple story. It's not convoluted whatsoever, but I feel like it has a lot of depth, and also will potentially get even more depth when Pearl is released. So, can't really ask for more than that out of like a lean, mean hour 45 horror flick,
Right. I'm just going to note that Raven Shadow is stepping away because Ollie is in the other room barking at something.
Okay.
And I think Aries might be outside.
Oh, shit. I wouldn't be surprised.
I had another point that I wanted to bring up as well.
Please.
And again, without giving too much away, but you have elderly characters who perpetrate numerous levels of physical activity.
Oh yeah.
In different ways, and it is, while exaggerated, it is still done in a far more believable fashion than the 70-year-old Leatherface in the newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre film.
I agree with that.
Like I said, okay, yes, it's exaggerated, I'm sure, but like all those scenes you can look at and be like, all right, maybe an old person could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, MZ, can an old person do that? You'd know.
Yes, us old people could do things like that.
All right. Well, I think we can probably head to the verdict on this one. Was there anything else anyone wanted to bring up? I guess one other thing is this, obviously for a movie that takes place in the 70s, the soundtrack is important, but I actually really dug the soundtrack in this, and I thought a lot of the songs were used very successfully. So I don't think they bought their records from Josh, unfortunately, which was a mistake, but I think they did use some good 70s and 80s dance singles here. So, all right.
Well, hopefully just 70s. You don't want to be anachronistic.
That's true. It's true. All right. Well, let's do the verdict on this.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. We're going to let you know whether X was a trick or a treat. Any final thoughts we may have? Let's start with MZ.
Oh, just like old times, huh?
Yeah, just like old times.
Well, okay. Well, I love how this movie looks. I love the way it feels, the tone, the style of it, the overall look of the film. The characters put on a good performance, good, strong performances throughout. The violence is awesome. It's really good. It's really, really, really good. The references are there. This is a love letter to Tobe Hooper, if there ever was one. And Ty West covered a lot of ground here. There is no fat on this film at all. For an hour and 45-minute runtime on a Ty West film, very little lag, if almost none at all. Any lag at all would be there to build tension, and there is some tension here to be found. It's a creepy flick. It's an effective flick, and it's you have the violence, and you got the sex, and the women's lib movement going on with these young girls, and we're only living young now. We got to live in the moment, and it's good. It's good. This is a good movie. Don't turn your back on this one. This is a good movie. This is a treat. Big treat.
All right. Treat for MZ. How about you, Josh?
So like I said, I was really looking forward to this one, and it definitely was not a disappointment. I had actually, like you said, a lot of people were really hyping this up, and I had actually heard some people online that didn't like this. Like, I actually heard another reviewer try saying that this movie was slow and took too long to get to the kills, and I have no idea what the hell's wrong with that person. But I thought that this was a well-written and very well-shot film. Like I said, the special effects were fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the prequel. Also of note, apparently they had an online screening party where in the film they actually are running that camera shooting the farmer's daughter. So they actually cut all that footage together and had an online screening party of the father of the farmer's. It's apparently only 40 minutes long, but
oh, that's funny.
Another thing of note too is I think it's been mentioned that the cast in this is really good, and I think that this is one of those films that's got multiple people to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Like Kid Cudi was great. I've seen Mia Goth in a few things, and she's always good. Jenna Ortega is taking off right now. It seems like every third film I watch, she's in. Because she's in this, she's in the new Scream film, she's in Studio 666.
Yeah.
It's she's in a little bit of everything. Oh, she's going to be in Tim Burton's upcoming Wednesday Addams Netflix series.
Oh yeah.
She's Wednesday Addams. So
wow.
yeah. So it's like I said, every third thing I watch now, she's in. So. So this is a treat and a recommend. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to revisiting it.
All right, Michael Ravenshadow.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Ty West fan. I'm glad he exists. I've not seen, was it The Devil? What's the one you love, Johnny?
The House of the Devil.
I've not seen House of the Devil. I was Metzamez on Innkeepers. I think the last movie he did, I kind of enjoyed, and obviously we all know how we feel about M is for Mortgage Payment. His last short. Take a payday. But I really enjoyed this a lot. And it's funny that someone who complained about took a while to get to the killers. Well, you had all that time was spent with nudity.
I know.
Character development and yes.
Yeah, character development and nudity, and then the violence and great, gore and practical effects. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's fucking terrible. Wait, look, 20 minutes of all nudity. Then they start killing people. What the fuck? But no, I did enjoy this. And I thought, despite that stuff, there was some story there. And I think, like I said, the shower scene really got me.
Oh yeah.
And you felt the emotionality in that scene. I get that. And the human emotion that was caused. There was some great character stuff. Yeah. I liked this. On one hand, this is very gratuitous, over the top. Yes, it's that.
Yeah.
But I think there's a bigger story here too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is. I really enjoyed this, man. Treat. Definitely a treat.
All right. Aries? Okay. Well, I guess he didn't have much to say.
Treat.
I'm Ty West. Ty West, what do you think of your movie? I'm Ty West. I loved it. For those who don't know, back in the day, Tiny White, this is way back in the day, obviously, of Tiny White, he did his Ty West impersonation, and it was pretty funny. It wasn't really an impersonation. It was a, I'm Ty West. Sound like an old man.
I'm crazy Ty West.
Yeah.
Make some nudity. Oh.
All right, for me, I really dug this. It's interesting on paper. Like if you had told me that Ty West is making a return to horror film, and he's making a movie about a bunch of younger folk making a porno, I probably would have been like, yeah, I don't know, it doesn't sound that great, you know. But he really, it's just sort of incidental that this story happened to take place when these people were making a porn in a barn on an old farmhouse. Like it wasn't to be gratuitous. It was to tell a specific story, and it was, it was sort of the role of, not to say the role of sex, but like how people perceive it, how it functions in a relationship, and also, they were in sort of in Texas, and in what you would assume is more of a sort of puritanical sort of like community. So, that as the backdrop makes it kind of interesting. So, no, I loved a lot about this. I loved the way it was directed, the way it was edited, the way it was shot, the way it looked. And I think it's kind of a smart little story for what it is. And I'm super excited to see the prequel for Pearl. So Ty West is back in my good graces, and this is a treat for sure. So you guys, if you haven't yet, you should check out X. It is available on VOD. And who knows? Maybe it'll come to streaming soon. But I would advise you to seek this out, because it's totally worth it. I think it's worth it. So give it a look, check in, and oh, this was a while ago. I'm sorry, Denny. I wasn't paying attention to Facebook, but he says Boys Class sponsored by Vaseline. And he said, "Hey MZ, good seeing you on here. Good luck with the new home, brother."
Thanks, man.
So it was a great dialogue. Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
Dialogue. I loved it. I think it was the Andy Travers looking guy from like WKRP. What was his name?
I don't know who that is. I don't remember WKRP. So
the producer of the film.
Yeah, the producer of the film. We're talking to the filmmaker. He's like, listen, basically, he's like, listen, you're not 42, but I've been 23. It was one of those lines where he's like, listen, trying to like tell him, trying to school him on like, I get what you're saying. You're a kid. But just that dialogue, that set, I just made me chuckle. There's some good dialogue in this.
Yeah, there is. I think it's pretty smart dialogue. So, well, there you have it. That is our discussion of X. Check it out on VOD. And
I did one quick thing while I remember.
Yeah.
For MZ, since I know you had extra interest in this film, you will probably want to backtrack in Mia Goth's career and check out Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac Volume 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I saw, that's right, she was. I saw Antichrist, Nymphomaniac 1 and 2 back to back to back. You want to talk about a full day.
Oh, that's an interesting day.
That is a full plate, my friend. Let me tell you. It took me a while to get down from that.
Yeah. Now you want a really good awkward public experience? I've seen all three of those films theatrically with crowds.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yes. Yeah, I was by myself, so.
Yeah.
But I think it was I think it was Nymphomaniac, the collage of penises, and I was by myself. There was like a 1-minute montage of nothing but penises.
Yeah,
we need a montage.
I'm watching this, and I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, I hope nobody comes in right now.
Yeah.
And that's when your girlfriend walked in.
Yeah.
Your squash is ready. Oh my god.
Oh my god, is that a penis? Is that another one? Is that a montage of penises?
Life is a collage of penises. Put Transformers back on. Be a grown man.
Put Transformers back on. I'm sorry I told you not to be a child anymore. Maybe you should go back to being a child.
Fine, watch Thundercats. It's okay.
Thundercats. Thunder, thunder, thunder. A montage of penises. That's almost as good as a bouquet of dildos.
Yeah, almost as good.
Oh, man. All right. So we will take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about Maniac Driver, Raven Shadow. Curious, though, when you sat down to watch Maniac Driver, the latest joint from Kurando Mitsutake, what did you do to prepare for this one, man?
Get excited, Johnny.
That's it? You just got excited?
This fucking Kurando, I'm so excited. We got Josh here. We got MZ in the house. Let's just fucking, you know what? I couldn't wait to do?
What?
Strap on.
The following message is a paid advertisement for the Cult of Muscle podcast. The Cult of Muscle. You're either in it or you're dead.
It's the dawning of a new age. The halls of Valhalla have been shuttered. The heroes of yore have either retreated to the shadows or taken to capering for the amusement of the small folk. Their past glories a distant memory. The barbells have been torn from their once puma-strong grips. The beards shorn from their square jaws, only to be transplanted onto flannel-clad, puny weaklings with fingers barely powerful enough to strum a ukulele. The time has come, my brothers, to restore order from the chaos. No longer will our heroes be forgotten. No longer will their great deeds be viewed through a foggy lens of irony. Hear now our rallying cry as we scream it from the mountaintops, as we bellow it from iTunes and Libsyn and Facebook. It's time to join the cult, my brothers. So don your cloaks and enter the Cult of Muscle.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's a blast. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
And, Trick or Treat Radio, man. That's where it's at. That's the new Fangoria Radio is Trick or Treat Radio.
No. Don't say that. That's like,
you really put us under.
It's like swearing in church.
You just jinxed us.
Yeah. you put a lot on our shoulders just now.
Well, we can strive for greatness.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah,
you really are. You got a great show.
Go through your week with the same old routine.
What you really want is some blood and thunder in your life.
Well, friend, you found it.
The Cromcast is an adventurous journey through the history of two-fisted pulp stories.
With your hosts, John,
Josh,
and Luke.
We have action,
horror,
and adventure, all through the lens of pulp luminary Robert E. Howard.
Don't just stay in your ordinary life.
Find your pulp life at thecromcast.blogspot.com.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
A podcast for the barbarian at heart.
I could be standing outside a woman's prison in a fistful of 50s and a bouquet of dildos, and no woman would come near me.
Did you say a bouquet of dildos?
right, we are back on Trick or Treat Radio. And we're about to talk about another film. And this film it's one that we've been looking forward to for a while. Let me take a look here and find out when the last time we had Corando on the show. Going back into the...
I think it's when we...
What's
when
that?
we reviewed... I think it's when we reviewed Tenebrae.
Okay. Let's see here.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, you could be right. I'm just trying to see. Okay, so it wasn't that one. Yeah, I'll keep looking it up and see. Where we did that. But yeah, so last time we had Corando on the show, he gave us a lot of insight into this film, Maniac Driver. And it, if I recall correctly, so he actually left us a message. He's going to kind of set up the film. So I want to play that first. But because he may mention some of this stuff, and I don't want to, mention if he's going to anyways. But I do remember him talking about it, and he filmed this in basically like 4.5 hours. I'm sorry, 4.5 hours, 4.5 days. I mean, yeah, 4.5 hours would have been a little nuts. But it was originally supposed to be, as we talked about with him, it was originally supposed to be a Japanese Pinky film. Or are they just called? They're not Pinky. It's Pink Films, right? Is that what the? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pinky Violence is another thing entirely. I'm mixing those two up.
Yeah.
So it was originally supposed to be a pink film in Japan, which is, like kind of softcore, not quite porn, but, very Cinemaxy, And so he was originally going to do that. And then for some reason, I don't remember the exact reason, but the producer pulled the money at the kind of like last minute, or the company pulled the money or something like that. Because I think it had to do something with compromising his script, and he really didn't want to compromise. So turns out that he had his producer friend ended up funding the film for him, and he went ahead and still made the same movie because they were all ready to shoot it, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly. They were ready to shoot it. Everyone all the actors had been hired and everything. So yeah, so it was a 4.5 day shoot, and I think if I recall correctly, the last day they basically went all night, all day and all night. And it is a Japanese giallo. I am not aware of any other Japanese giallos. I don't know if Josh or MZ, if you guys are aware that any exist. But yeah, so that's sort of like the rough setup, and this is his first film in a few years. I know Corando had some, obviously the pandemic had affected him as well. But so it did take him a few years to get this off the ground. But his previous film to that was Karate Kill, which was 2016. So, and this one was actually done and ready to be released in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And now it's finally getting a Blu-ray DVD release. It's available in some other countries. If you guys want to check it out, you can get it through Diabolic DVD. And hopefully, it's going to get, it sounds like it should get a American release in due time. So I was trying to kill time to wait for Raven Shadow before I play
He's nearby. He's back.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I saw his shadow. Ollie is in the room. Raven Shadow should be incoming momentarily.
Oh, there he. Oh, he has to put his fucking. He has to put his fucking hands up.
Yeah, like and fix his hair. Fix his hair.
So I will bring up because you said I would. And I actually I think I brought this up in a voicemail after the conversation you guys had with Corando. Mm-hmm. There is one known Japanese giallo.
Okay.
I have not seen it, but it is a film from, I think, late 70s, or some sources say 1980, called Zoom In Sex Apartments. So it's worth noting. So Zoom In was an entire series, and it was a series of pink films. And all of them have the title Zoom In and then like an addendum. And much like the kind of system that Corando was talking about in the interview, where he said that guy offered him money, and a lot of times the people that are funding the pink films, they only care about the sex aspect. They don't care what else. So you can make a comedy, you can make an action film, you can make a horror film, whatever. And so it is worth noting that. So he was offered the chance to do this pink film and decided to turn it into his giallo. And the only other known film that would fall under the, genre of a Japanese giallo was the same situation of a pink film that the director wanted to make a giallo.
Yeah, that is interesting. And I do see it. It's on IMDb. It's actually classified as Zoom-in rape apartments, but it does show. I don't know if you can say that anymore, but it on the art it says Zoom-in sex apartments, and it is Nikatsu. That's what it was. That's the name of the stop. What's that? The studio. Yeah.
Studio. Yeah.
So yeah, it says Nikatsu Erotic Films Collection, and yeah, this came out. It was a horror. Yeah, you're right. So it was 1980, and it was actually similarly timed, an hour and 8 minutes, whereas Corando's film was an hour 15. So, all right, Raven Chat, I was waiting for you to get back in your seat because I wanted to play. We have a message from Corando. So before we jump into the film, I wanted to make sure we played that. So let us hear from the man himself, the director of Maniac Driver, Corando Mitsutake.
Hello, Trick or Treat Radio. This is Corando Mitsutake, the director of Gunwoman, Karate Kill, and now Maniac Driver. Thank you guys so much for reviewing Maniac Driver, my latest feature film, this week's episode. And guess what? I am coming back to the show as a guest on May 12th. Episode. So in several weeks, I'll be joining you guys to talk about my movies and whatever you guys want to talk about. Maniac Driver was shot back in 2019 with entirely Japanese cast and Japanese crew. It was my first time to shoot the whole feature film in my mother country. So that was really exciting and interesting. And it was right before the pandemic. We shot it back in 2019, and the post-production and the release got delayed with the pandemic. And but finally, it's available with the small U.S. distribution through diabolicdvd.com. And thank you guys for reviewing it. I'm super excited that you guys finally get to watch it, and I would love to talk about it in a few weeks when I join you for the show, May 12th. Anyway, please enjoy the movie, and when I be back on the show in several weeks, I'll be more than happy to take questions from listeners on Maniac Driver or any of my other previous work like Samurai Avenger, Karate Kill, and of course Gunwoman. So thank you so much, guys, and I'm so excited and looking forward to talking to you in a few weeks. All right, catch you guys later. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Awesome. Got to hear from the man himself, Corando Mitsutake. It's just a great way for us to set up this film. No better way than to hear from the man who directed it. So as Corando had mentioned, Corando will be joining us on the Thursday, May 12th episode. And on that show, I'll just go ahead and tell you what we're doing for the format of that show, because I'm very much looking forward to that in the show in its entirety. Not only because Carando is going to be joining us, and he will be, as he mentioned, taking questions. If you guys have questions about this film, about Maniac Driver, about any of his previous works, by all means, please send in a voice message. Carando would love to hear your voices as well as we would. So feel free to send in a voice message or an email and ask your questions. And so looking forward to that. And also on the show that we're doing on that one. So this is 2 weeks from now. We're going to be talking about the film that's been getting a ton of attention in festivals. And we're going to be talking about the film The Sadness. It is finally hitting Shudder on May 12th. And we'll be talking about that one, directed by Rob Jabaz. And it's I can't wait to check this one out. It's been getting a ton of attention, I'll say, and it's supposedly a crazy fucking story. So
yeah, I saw the trailer for it a couple months ago, and this one's gonna be a wild ride.
Yeah, so really looking forward to that one. That's going to be a great show. So we will be talking about The Sadness, and we will have Carando Mitsutake on the show for an interview, and that will be in 2 weeks on Thursday, May the 12th. So if you guys get a chance to check out Maniac Driver, you have questions for Carando, or if you just have questions for any of his previous films, as mentioned, his previous work, Karate Kill. He also did Gunwoman from, what year was that? 2014, and then Samurai Avenger, The Blind Wolf. And he also, his first film was called Monsters Don't Get to Cry as well. So you want to talk about any of those? And he has a movie in post-production right now, which I'm very excited about, Lion Girl. Maybe we can get a few little hints about that one. I'm sure he can't talk too much about it, but... So, yeah, looking forward to that. Carando will be on the show in a couple weeks. So, now that Carando has set that up, let's go ahead and jump into this flick. So, it's been a few years since we've talked about a Carando movie, since Karate Kill. And this is a different film. Well, it's a different film for Carando. Right off the bat, it grabs you right away, right? Like, there's no mincing words about what this movie is. Do one of you guys want to jump in? And Raven Chow, you're sort of the resident sexpert, if you will, on sex scenes. So,
yeah, I mean, not to quote Bill Hicks and to be Randy Pan the Goat Boy, but Carando does a lot of things really, really well. One of those things is nudity. He does a really good job of that. And let me just preface too, and like I was talking with Josh as we had pizza in the green room and by green kitchen, but we were talking raw. Like I'm not a big giallo. I'm not the biggest giallo aficionado. That's not in my necessarily wheelhouse. I can appreciate them. I understand the style. I mean, the giallos I've watched have mostly been for the show. Like the girl with the crystal plumage tattoo who kicked the hornet's nest. I'm not sure what that movie's called. No, the girl with the crystal plumage, right? We saw that.
The bird with the crystal plumage.
Oh, really?
And no, we haven't done that for the show.
The bird with the crystal plumage?
Correct. We haven't done that for the show. We did Tenebrae.
I think. Oh, we did Tenebrae. Yeah, we did Tenebrae. Yeah. All right. Well, that one, that was a good one. So I know that one. That's not necessarily my wheelhouse. But this movie was fucking shot beautiful, though. I thought the fucking colors, the lights, it felt like I was in Tokyo because it was shot there. But like it just, I loved everything about the cinematography of this movie right from the jump.
Yeah, right away you can see Carando is kind of wearing his giallo influences on his sleeve. Right away with that opening scene, we get the red lights and like the very stark lighting And that's one thing that we see throughout in this. And we do get the black gloved killer. The difference here in this, though, it kind of turns on its head a little bit. Is we see the killer's face right away, right? Like there's no mystery to who the killer is, which I thought was actually, it was on purpose. I think that was an interesting decision. And the one thing that I liked about this was there was surprisingly a lot of depth to the story. I mean, it's a very simple story in that, and this film isn't readily available to stream yet, so I don't want to get into too many of the details. But, we have this guy who is, I mean, he has a lot of trauma. He's dealing with trauma because his wife was murdered, and he wants to sort of get revenge, and he wants to go out in a certain way getting revenge. Like he has this sort of, he's romanticized how this is going to happen, and he hated seeing his wife suffer because he was there for her death. And we do get flashbacks of that as well. And but this film doesn't pull any punches in a lot of ways. And I do think the story was kind of, I liked how much depth there was to this character's trauma and what's kind of going on with him. I thought that was kind of an interesting introspective look at the mind of a killer, and this is a very different sort of, this is not like any giallo I've seen where we get a lot of insight into what's going on with the killer. With scenes where he's sort of like, there's like a narration where he's talking over, kind of what had happened and what he's thinking. And I also thought it was kind of interesting that there's at least one scene where he's talking about how he would prefer, like I thought it was actually really well done, because he talked about how he would prefer women on top, not just sexually, but in the world, and I actually really like that scene. And I know Carando has said his films, he presents a bit of a feminist message in his films, especially with Gunwoman being like, such a fucking badass killer. Yes, it's a bit exploitation in the fact that she's naked for pretty much the duration of the film, but she is a very badass character and has very specific task in mind that she's going to achieve. But in this case, I thought that it was an interesting look at the psyche of a killer and what drives him to do what he does. And in this, you feel sympathy for the character because of what happened. And I thought that was a really interesting take on this concept. It does kind of turn it on its head a little bit. We do get the black glove mask killer, but we also know who he is right away. And we get insight into his psychosis, I guess, in a sense of like why he does what he does.
So
yeah, it's kind of like it's a different take on it, but like you said, it's done early, and it's done on purpose. It's not at all accidental. Yes, the black glove killer, and also with the colors that he uses, which is a strong indication of a giallo style, especially dealing with, say, like Argento and Inferno or Suspiria or Mario Bava in Blood and Black Lace. But also immediately I caught on to other references to other giallo films, just not in terms of color, but in terms of just what's being framed. Like the very first thing that you see is the wall. It's kind of like a brick wall. That pans over to the shower, and I mean it's not immediately exact. Of course, it's nowhere near exact, to be perfectly honest. But but the way that wall looked and the color that was on that wall and the way it was panning over just reminded me of the of that. I think it was a Panaflex camera used in Tenebrae that goes over the house.
Oh yeah.
There's the flashback sequence involving his wife. There's a sequence where she turns back and it's repeated like 3 times.
Yeah.
That is in other films, I'm sure, but the one that comes to my mind more than anything is Lucio Fulci's Cat in the Brain, where that was a purely stylistic choice, but the giallo style that he has here is there. It's right in front of you, but it's not overwhelming. It doesn't overtake the picture. He places that style throughout the film, but he doesn't overload you with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that.
Yeah. Josh, were you going to say something a few moments ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a couple of bold statements.
Mm-hmm.
First, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring as our resident giallo expert.
Yes, you are.
And then before I make my second bold statement, I'm going to say up front that I am going to give this film a positive review before I make my statement, because I don't want anybody to misconstrue it. But I'm actually just going to come out and say, because this is kind of, subtitled as a Japanese giallo, but technically it's not a giallo because there's no mystery.
Yeah, and that is fair. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the word giallo technically means yellow, but it is an Italian slang term for mystery.
Yep.
I think like what it is actually pretty obvious from the title. It's kind of a mashup of certain things, but the way the main character sees the world is in the style of a giallo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because I think so much of what we see is either dreams or flashbacks.
Yeah.
That in their own reality, things are lit in this way, and things are seen from these odd angles, and it is entirely in the style of a giallo, whereas the story itself is more of like a psychological character study.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair, and that's kind of an astute observation, because I think you're right. Like, I think the main character sees the world through giallo eyes. Like.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anybody to think that I was like, bashing on the film by saying that. So that's why I wanted to preface up front that I am giving this a positive review.
Yeah.
I will also piggyback on what Monster Zero was saying, is that, this film is chock full of visual references to other giallo films. Like, you called out the Tenebrae reference. And you're right. That chase angle of the girl looking back, that has been used in multiple films. And it is even actually the poster image of one of the later Lamberto Bava films. Plus there was the scene, the flashback of the wife kind of culminates with the bathtub scene. That's a common scene, in a lot of giallos, as well. And even the look of the killer is derived straight from, it could either be a reference to Strip Nude for Your Killer, or the film What Have They Done to Your Daughters? Because both of them are the kind of the leather-clad killer in the motorcycle helmet, Plus, the score was very reminiscent. And I found it very interesting because the score represented pretty much all periods of giallos.
Yeah,
because,
you're right. There was like the heavy metal stuff and the very synth heavy. Yeah, you're right.
So towards the beginning, there was that driving montage where it had the synth stuff, but it almost had that like harpsichordy kind of sound.
Right, right, yeah.
And that's very reminiscent of the scores of that were composed by Stelvio Cipriani, which he did a lot of stuff for the 70s giallos. And then that kind of merged into some of the more like goblin-y kind of stuff. And then you got kind of more like 80s synthy stuff mixed in, and then like you mentioned, the heavy metal added, which was very like mid to late 80s Argento. He, with like
Sleepless and Phenomena, right?
Opera,
opera.
True, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was even interesting there, is that like all of the eras were represented within one score.
Yeah, it's it's funny because I didn't actually that didn't occur to me while I was watching it. I thought it was just kind of a stylistic choice to have that in certain scenes, but you're absolutely right that it was very reminiscent of. It was almost like a tour of the Giallo, yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I caught on to that real quick, and what stood out to me more than any of those was I got a real Inferno's Keith Emerson vibe out of those. At least that's what I got out of it. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I got out of it. I thought, because it had that, if I remember, what was it? I think Emerson said something about a 4/3 scale on in his music, and it just reminded me so much of that. But yes, Cipriani and of course Goblin, and just it covered all the ground.
Yeah,
synth heavy metal, and everything in between, Euro rock. So yeah, it covered all the bases as far as the score goes. I mean, it was superbly done.
Right. And obviously we don't want to delve too heavy into the story aspects of it, but I did like where, because as we already mentioned, like there's flashbacks, and there are like some kind of like dream sequences in a way, and it's very interesting how you can see the stylistic shifts between all of these, and there's even some of them that take the like the giallo lighting, but then they'll like put it in a scene that is very Japanese in its setup.
Yeah.
Both from like a cinematic standpoint, or even like a lot of the the sex scenes, or just like the nude scenes, like the showering and everything. I mean, that's all indicative of the Pink film. When there's kind of, I don't know if this is for certain, but I feel that there was a kind of like a quota or checklist of like, well, we got to hit these things for the market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel it was very interesting how he put that kind of the giallo influence onto those things.
Like the pink, there's some real heavy pink shots where the water is coming from the shower or is coming from the drain.
Yeah,
that's very pink heavy.
Yeah,
photography right there, and it's really good. It's I saw it and I'm like, oh Jesus, look at that! That looks so good. I saw that, I smiled. I loved it.
So this is, I think even this movie would probably make Dario Argento blush. I'm not as familiar, obviously, as you, Josh, or you, MZ, with Giallo. You guys have kind of run the gamut. Mine is mostly Argento. I've seen most Argento films, but I know with Fulci and Bava, like especially like Strip Nude for Your Killer, it seems like there's a lot more potential like references to to that movie. So, but this is, no doubt, and I'm just looking it up, and Strip Nude for Your Killer was directed by Andrea Bianchi. And, but this is, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, this is a sleazy movie. Like that's what it's set out to be. As we mentioned, it's a pink film, and with a giallo story. So a lot of the there's going to be extended sex scenes in this because of that. And it's not something we're used to seeing in, at least now, especially nowadays, but even in 70s and into the 80s giallo, there would be titillation, but it was typically like a topless woman or something like that, or a woman showering. But this kind of delves a little bit deeper into depravity, if you will.
Well, this definitely pushes the envelope further, but I think for a lot of the kind of, I guess what you would call top tier or most well-known giallos, you're right. There's nudity, there's sexuality, but it doesn't get pushed very far. But once you start digging into the genre more, there are a lot of films that delve into much sleazier topics, and are pretty much the equivalent of softcore.
Yeah. And I kind of figured, based on a lot of the stuff that you guys have seen, and so just some of the influences and stuff. So I mean, this isn't completely on the opposite end of the spectrum, but it is sort of like, because initially it was intended to be a pink film, so that was the sort of driving force behind it, was to make an erotic film. And Carando, as you mentioned, Josh, was able to sort of put his own angle on it, his own story, and in doing so, I feel like made a really, I mean, I don't know what genre most pink films are, but like, I feel like this is a real kind of interesting story, and he was able to wear a lot of his influences on his sleeve and to really highlight them and to make a, kind of a pretty interesting flick, How about you, Raven Shadow? I know obviously you're not as well versed in giallo as me, and I'm not even that well versed. But I know you kind of talked about that a little bit. But and just to be clear, when I say sleazy, I want folks to know I don't mean that in a negative, derogatory way. But did you feel like this was a properly sleazy sort of pink giallo, Japanese giallo flick?
Yeah, no, and once again, I do want to reiterate that sleazy isn't always a bad thing. It's fucking,
right. I mean,
some of my favorite.
Yeah, some of MZ's favorite flicks are sleazy as fuck. Like, look at Basket Case is kind of sleazy. A lot of that 42nd Street grime is sleazy as fuck.
York, fucking Serpico is sleazy.
Yeah,
what I mean? This is that of the era, fucking Taxi Driver, early Scorsese pictures, and I think we have the benefit of knowing Carando in real life, but also if you watch his films, you can see where his influences are, and even when we watched Gunwoman before we even knew him, we just watched the film. That was something that was like, oh, this is kind of difficult for me, but watching the film, I really truly enjoyed it. And getting it, even after subsequent watches, I realized, it's not really as bad as I originally thought it was originally. I mean, but also, too, that is a sleazy picture, but in a positive way. And with this movie, it is very new, so I don't want to spoil anything. But I think the opening scene, too, is like, okay, hey, that first kill definitely sets a tone for what you're going to get, which might be difficult in certain film festivals. But I think as the movie progresses, yes, is there violence? Is there nudity? But there's a point where maybe someone might feel uncomfortable watching it. But I think there's a point where maybe, Josh and I talked about this before, when you realize the cut of this movie's jib, when you realize kind of what certain things are. You're like, oh, okay. I definitely had an I get it moment. And do you know what I'm talking about without saying anything spoilery?
I mean, I think I do, but I don't. I mean, the listeners won't. So
Well, they're gonna watch the movie.
Yeah.
Diabolic fucking DVD. Order it. You know what I mean? Like, fucking buy a copy. But I think it's definitely set in it's a sleazy underworld. This isn't fucking Hallmark Christmas movie. This is a dark side of a dark city, and it shows you some fucked up shit. And we see a character who might be having his own level of madness, and we're along for that ride, metaphorically and literally. And
you can't necessarily blame him, right, based on what has occurred, And I also, I'm sorry to interrupt, Raven Shadow. Were you going to say something else?
Last thing, I mean, on one hand, this could be a revenge tale, right? A classic revenge.
Totally. Yeah, in a different way. Like the revenge he seeks is different from, what a normal.
It's almost the opposite of revenge, where you become your enemy. It's almost like, for lack of a better term, if you're potentially abused, you become the abuser. You perpetuate a cycle.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Instead of becoming Batman or Moon Knight or Charlie Bronson, he becomes Freddy Krueger. Or he becomes the bad part. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
He becomes the villain. And not the hero.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Like his origin story, I mean, I guess if you will, led him to sort of become, the killer in a sense, like the person who influenced him. So, I mean, it is, I think it's a really kind of a cool take on it. And the other thing I was going to mention is I liked a lot of the taxi scenes when, like, we have these sort of like time lapse sort of like scenes where you can see his fares in the back seat, and I liked that he blacked out the eyes. I don't know if that was because he had to, but either way, I thought it was actually like a really cool thing because it's almost like they didn't matter to him. So, because he was looking for the right person. So like these other random fares, they didn't matter to him. So I thought it was actually kind of cool that the eyes were like blacked out, had the black bar over them,
It's definitely a stylistic thing because all the passengers are credited in the end.
Oh, okay.
And it's also used in another aspect where there's a scene in which a character's eyes are blacked out, but then they're revealed later.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And I think that's also part of what Raven Shadow was trying to say, where there were aspects, because he expressed this to me earlier, but in a way that would be a spoiler. So I'm going to try to express it for him in a way that is not a spoiler.
Okay.
That there were aspects of the film that either confused him or he thought were a mistake or poorly done. But then as certain other things are revealed, those all make sense in the long run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was another really standout scene to me. Sort of another bit of a montage is when he's picking. He's driving in the cab, and he's talking about murder. And how, like, if you kill this many people or that many people, this is what happens. If you kill 5, I think you said if you kill 5, you get executed. If you kill 10, you get a medal. Like, it's almost like the interesting thing too, and I don't know this. I mean, maybe we can find out when we do talk to Carando, but I wonder if it's almost like these are things that, like, I wonder if Carando was like, at the time, I think he did this right before the pandemic, so it wasn't a pandemic thing. But thinking about, especially over the last several years, the socio-political sort of climate here in America, where Carando, where he lives. I mean, obviously he goes back to Japan somewhat often, but he lives here in America now, and the socio-political climate in which we live in. I feel like a lot of stuff in this film is almost a reflection of that. Almost like these meditations on, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe them. Sort of like, like how we glamorize people who kill, like for instance, like people get awarded medals of honor or whatever for killing so many people. But if it's not war, then it's wrong. And I don't think killing is right no matter what. But it's just interesting how that perspective shifts based on whether the government tells you to do it or not. And so there's that, and there's also the idea of what he, I mentioned earlier, where he is talking about, about we'd be in a better place if more women led, instead of being in sort of a patriarchy. So I just thought these are kind of interesting concepts, like almost like a little bit heady, sprinkled into a Pink film, but kind of these really interesting ways of presenting them.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I also feel that those kind of vaguely socio-political kind of monologues or rants, they're analogous to the similar scenes in Taxi Driver.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's just driving around at night and getting the monologues about, someone's going to come along and wash all this off the street, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. He even has his, "Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?"
Yeah.
So I mean, a very direct quote out of Taxi Driver.
It was definitely, we were talking about that, and it seemed like, there's a moment when the whole aha moment. Okay, this is kind of seeing certain similarities, and Josh made a similarity. You may reference today. I'm not sure if you will, but Josh made a point in the kitchen that I agree with. But it was always kind of doing a Travis Bickle thing, and then obviously he leads into it a little bit, so it's right. I mean,
yeah. Well, and the similarity, I won't outright say it, but anybody who looks at the title of the film will figure it out.
True.
It's funny though, something that was said though about and it's been said before, about being a soldier or when he gets acclaimed. It's funny, the mindset, right? So you have someone who might be mentally wrong,
mm-hmm.
and they commit crimes of killing. There's crimes out of passion, there's crimes out of accidental things, there's crimes out of anger, that kind of stuff. And then when it comes to me, now I'm not a soldier. I'm too funny to carry a gun. I can't be all I can be at all. But whether you're join the service by choice or by draft card, you have to be a regular normal person and be in these extraordinary situations
mm-hmm.
that may do things that you can't even imagine, and then you have to come back to the real world. That takes a toll. I'm not saying anything new to anyone, you know what I'm saying, but like, you can go do that and be a hero,
right?
Or you can be mentally flawed and it can be easy for you, and you're a criminal. Like,
it's a thin line,
And a smarter person than I can digest that, but like the difference between why is one okay, and you still have scars either way. You still have scars either way.
And I wanted to interject. I see what time it is, and I know MZ, you have an out, so I'm gonna shut up and let him talk for a little while.
Oh well.
Yeah, and we can start to wrap up too, because we're going to talk to Carando in a couple weeks, so we'll talk more about the movie. So, we'll start getting to sort of like last things before we head to the verdict. So, if you have anything else, MZ.
Well,
If not,
it's
that's
certainly.
okay.
Well, actually, I'll just wait for my review on it.
Okay. So, yeah, I actually just looked it up, and the last time we had Carando on was episode 450. Carando Kills It was the name of the episode, and we spent the entire episode with Carando. He was on, and you're right, someone mentioned this earlier. We did talk about Tenebrae with Carando, and he does give some insight into Maniac Driver. So if folks want to check that out prior to Carando coming on again, go ahead. Episode 450, Carando Kills It. I might actually go back and give a listen to some of that, so we don't ask some of the same questions. But so that is out there. I guess before we start wrapping up, did you guys feel like, and there was a couple, I think I want to say like 2 extended sex scenes in this. Did they did they pull you out of it at all, or was it just, did it feel like it fit with the flow of what we were going with? Because, you know, as we found out, it was a Pink film initially, and then they were trying to add too many constraints to what he could do, and then he sort of like was like, yeah, no, I ain't doing this with you guys, and then did it on his own, you know. So would the movie have benefited from maybe you know, getting away from that, or like was it distracting, I guess, to the overall narrative?
I mean, I guess I'll hop in where I'll say, given what I know the genesis of the film was, it didn't seem excessive, because I've seen a few of those films.
Yep.
So it didn't like pull me out of the film, but I guess on a personal viewing note, you could say, you know, there could have been a couple of trims made, and maybe given us a couple extra minutes of you know, expository dialogue or something that might have helped a little bit on the overall. But like I said, they weren't enough where they pulled me out of the film, because like I said, I knew where the film was coming from. So to speak.
You knew what you were getting into, so it didn't. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, to the uninitiated, it might seem excessive, but this is exactly what Pink films are pretty much all about. So, you know, like Josh and myself, since we know about these, you know, we know about these films, we've seen these films. So I felt it was right in line with the rest of the film. I didn't see anything wrong with them at all. I thought they fit the narrative, if you want to call it that. I thought they just did the film justice by having them going as long as they did, because they fit they do fit the narrative of what a Pink film is. So, you know, it just made sense to me, and I don't have any complaints about it whatsoever.
Yeah, and one thing I will say, I dug. I mean, obviously, a lot of this takes place in a cab, and I feel like that must be something that's very difficult to shoot. You know, especially with little budget. I'm sure he didn't have like a way to sort of like rig up the cab to have cameras on the outside and everything. So, you know, I think it's kind of like really impressive of how it was filmed. There's a couple scenes where the camera kind of moves from the back to the front, and then also focuses on the rear view mirror to see the character in the back seat. You know, so some of the stuff like that I thought was really impressive, the way it was handled. And even some of the, you know, Kurando has had some really interesting shots in the past, especially the first one that comes to mind is in Karate Kill, where he has that sort of like rotating camera, which is a really great camera trick when during a fight scene. I thought that was great. So I feel like there's some interesting stuff here. We get like a shot where we just kind of, as the car's driving, we see filming from like down at the hood of the car, like, you know, different angles and different interesting ways of showing the vehicle. And, you know, that's something that is sort of catches the eye. It is something a little bit different and breaks up the way it was shot. And there's also some cool handheld stuff, I thought, as well, that was used in this. So yeah, I mean, overall, and the lighting, I mean, lighting alone must have taken a while to set up, and for 4.5 days, like, it's pretty impressive to be able to get these really cool shots, you know. And it's interesting to have a character who, like, without giving too much away, like, wants to die. Like, you know, like, he has this very particular way in which he wants to go out. And a lot of it is him sort of, as Josh said, sort of envisioning how it's going to go, and whether or not, you know, he's able to sort of like pull that off, I think is kind of interesting the way it's handled.
Well, the I'm sure the cost as far as getting permits to film outside in the city of Tokyo, I imagine it can't be too cheap. I mean, so there were a lot of scenes that were shot that found its loophole,
little
time
guerrilla.
lapse photography shots on top of buildings and guerrilla filmmaking. Really, is what you're saying. The close on the hood, the towards the wheel. I finally realized that he was doing this. At least my perception is that he was doing this. Is when he was when our uh, helmeted hero is sitting outside of a building and he's getting ready to eat, and you can see the camera angle. The camera angle looks like it's sitting on the ground.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like if any police were to see him filming something, and he would have to show permits, and he didn't have permits, they tell him to get the fuck out. But if he kept the camera low at that angle, the way he did, shot up at the building while he's eating, nobody would see the camera, and they would take the one shot, and boom, they're gone. So yeah, it's guerrilla filmmaking too, and kept the cost low, and probably all shot all those kind of scenes with in a day or two.
I think one of my favorite scenes is when he has the woman in the back seat. This is like as we're getting sort of towards the end, and he takes a picture of her luggage, and then after that, he is sort of like he has this vision or fantasy, and I love how it's edited because in one of the shots he is killing her, and then the other she is killing him, and the way it sort of cuts back and forth and the way it's edited with the lights and everything, I thought was just really well done. That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, I think. Let's see. Chat room. First time Mike says, "Evening family, checking in for a little bit before bed." He says, "Hi Arkham Josh, and a big man hug to my dude and stabber of houses, Monster Zero."
Hello.
Go.
Stabber of houses. That's MZ. All right. Do you guys have anything final before we head to a verdict? No? Let's do the verdict on this one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play another song. Hold on. All right, I'm going to play this underneath. We have the Maniac Driver main theme song here. And I remember Corando actually debuted this on our show on that episode 450. We were able to, the world premiere of it. I think he had literally just gotten the music at that point. But, very reminiscent of a lot of, especially a lot of the Giallo, Goblin, and Keith Emerson and stuff like that. So, yeah, very cool. All right, let's kick it off with Monster Zero.
Corando has a very interesting way of taking his cast out, in the city of Tokyo, or anywhere else, judging from his last couple of films, and have these people feel so isolated. There's a certain way he films that makes isolation key with his characters. It's like they live in their own little universe, and everything else outside of that universe doesn't even exist. It's really interesting the way he does that. This is a grand homage to Giallo and Pink films. And if you like Giallo, if you like Pink films, this movie's for you. It's gratuitous, it's violent, it's interestingly shot, the colors pop, the story is riveting. It's very interesting. It's a good movie. Well done movie. I don't know what else to say about it except for the fact that I liked it. It was uh, just an incredible movie. Enjoyed it. And I don't know what else to say.
That's all you got to say. I mean, hey.
Hey, well, you know what? I'll say this. Go see Maniac Driver. Whenever it hits, go check it out. It is worth the time. It's a quick watch too, so it's got a really good pacing, and the homages are right there for you to enjoy. So yes, this is definitely a treat.
All right. How about our other guest, Arkham Josh?
Yeah, so I'm a fan of Carando's other films that I've seen, and this was no exception. I thought, especially, presumably having a fairly low budget and shooting in only a few days, this was a very impressive film. I really appreciated all the referencing and homaging, and I thought like the main character was very interesting. There's definitely layers there. That like as you watch the film, you can kind of like start putting some things together. So I'm gonna say it's definitely a treat, and it is a recommend. But I just wanted people to know ahead of time that that it's not as straightforward giallo as like you would expect from an Argento film, but it's got all the elements there that you're looking for. So I think it's a recommend because you'll enjoy it.
All right, Michael Ravenshadow.
Well, I think in the 3 films I've been lucky enough to see of Carando, everyone's different. You know what I mean? Like every film, from Gunwoman, which is more like, intense body horror action in a certain sense. Karate Kill is your, martial arts mayhem, and obviously we have a Japanese giallo take on the genre, give or take. And while the giallo genre isn't my favorite genre, I still enjoyed the hell out of this film, and I have so many questions to talk to him about. I think that he's grown in every film. I thought the shots were really, really good. I even liked very much the first-person GoldenEye type shooter scenes with a knife a little bit. Remind me of a little bit.
And that's a giallo thing too, like that sort of first person. Yeah.
And it could be, once again, I'm not as familiar. I'm just not. But I definitely have some questions for him, and I just now this just cements it. I want a Karando Misatake cinematic universe. I want Gunwoman and Karate Kill to team up against Maniac Driver. There's so many fucking things. I love it, and it's. I mean, don't watch it with your nana on, Christmas maybe. Know your audience
or your kids.
Your kids or something, and don't know anyone's kids. Monster Zero, I'm looking at you.
Or your dog, MZ. You can't even watch this with your dog.
Yeah. All he watch. Actually, all he does enjoy Carando's films. Very much, but no, man, this is a dark, sleazy treat. So check it out, man. Diabolic DVD. Check it out.
I think that's the first ever dark, sleazy treat we've ever gotten on the show.
Ooh.
All right. I just realized we've taken up a lot of MZ's time, so I'm going to wrap this up quick, and then we'll say goodbye to MZ because the dude is moving soon. He's got a lot going on. This is a treat for me. And as mentioned, this is not, I will say, this is not the type of film I would necessarily seek out. I love giallo. The idea of pink films, I probably would never seek one out because, I don't watch a movie for titillation. I watch it for story, direction or artistic value, and I'm not saying pink films don't have that, but, for me, knowing that is sort of like the marquee, the sort of genre on the marquee, that wouldn't be my first go-to, But if Carando is going to make a pink film, I'm going to check it out, obviously. And it's actually, I think it's a really interesting look at this, because I feel like when you have constraints, you can be more creative, and I think with this, his constraint was, okay, I have to make a pink film, so that's sort of like where he had to start from. And then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to add some giallo. I'm going to add some horror. I'm going to make my Japanese giallo, and it's going to be a pink film. So I feel like having those constraints can oftentimes help you, because if you have like everything open to you, you may come up with some crazy ideas that maybe don't necessarily work. But when you have very tight constraints where you have to fit this and this and this and this in, then sometimes it can breed very interesting creativity, So I love that he got to make a genre film that references a lot of what he loves. There's definitely some Italian giallo with Argento, Bava, Fulci, etc. And there's also sort of like like the 70s and 80s sort of like American kind of like sleaze as well in this, as well as the pink, sort of the pink influence, which I'm not familiar with. But I feel like he took all that in something that I might normally not watch and found it very entertaining and also very interesting sort of like examination of this character. And in that case, it is kind of like Taxi Driver, like you guys had mentioned, where it explores the psyche of this character and what he's going through. And I just thought those scenes were some of the best ones, is where he's in his mind and we're seeing a lot of the sort of surrealistic stuff. So yeah, I really dug this, and I think it's a really well-made film for a very low budget. Carando, as we found out, I think with Gunwoman, he had something ridiculous, like I want to say like $80,000 budget or something, and he made an amazing film. So I mean, he is kind of the king of getting the most out of what little money he has available to him. So yeah, there you go. I mean, Carando kills it again, as we named the last episode he was on. And this is available on Diabolic DVD, as mentioned. So if you guys want to seek it out, you can get it there for now. There may be some additional announcements down the road about more American distribution, but at least it's available now for you to check out. So, so glad that we got to see another Carando film, and glad we got a chance to speak about it, and we'll get a chance to speak with the man in 2 weeks. So, well, there you have it. That's our discussion of Maniac Driver from the great Carando Mitsutake. All right. Well, now it is time to say farewell to MZ. MZ, I don't know, like, I know you have a very busy schedule. If you have another opportunity to come on the show before you move, let us know. If not, obviously, like, when you're all settled in, that might be a good way to kind of catch up if you have the ability, if you have good internet. I don't know. Do they even have internet up there in Skawagan? They get internet yet?
Of course.
Yeah,
they got internet. They got TV. I mean, they got everything.
They have Channel 38. You got the bunny ears.
Indoor plumbing.
Oh,
yeah,
indoor plumbing. Wow. All right. Maine's a little bit more progressive than I thought.
He's got a telegraph. He's going to be watching the movie loft.
Send help. Stuck in attic.
Stuck in attic.
Serial killer.
Oh, shit. So, all right, MZ, maybe we'll see you again soon. Maybe we won't. But if go ahead and this is your chance. Say goodbye. Say whatever you want. Whatever the fuck you want.
Hey, you never know. I might be back in a couple of weeks. I might be back in a couple of months. I might be back in a couple of years. Who knows? But I did enjoy my time today. Wolfie, always good talking to you. Raven Shadow, always good talking to you. Arkham Josh, always good talking to you, buddy.
You too.
Are you gonna be at Monster Expo?
Unfortunately, I will not be able to make it this weekend.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Well, we'll all be thinking of you.
Why, thank you.
Okay. And that's it. So, for now, arrivederci, douchebags.
All right, MZ, take care, bud. Awesome to chat with you, man. Thanks for joining us. All right.
Later, guys.
See
Been
you,
a
bud.
blast.
Yep. Take care, man.
Later. Bye.
All right, let's extend this goodbye a little bit more. No, just kidding. I'll play the MZ GIF again. All right. So, awesome. I'm super glad we get a chance to chat about Maniac Driver finally. It's been a couple years coming now, but yeah, awesome to talk about. I can't wait to talk to Chrono in a couple weeks.
I have a question I want to throw into the mix for when he's on.
I may not remember it.
Well, I'll try to call in with
Okay.
it, but and this is something that actually both Raven Shadow and I in our earlier pizza discussion, we feel that there might be some maybe socio-political layers in this that, not being Japanese, we don't quite understand.
Yeah.
So the one question we both had is that scene that was mentioned where he's sitting on the sidewalk eating dinner, and he throws the bird to that tall building behind him. So we were like, is there significance of that building? Like, is that like a political place? Is that like a police headquarters? Like we didn't understand the significance of that scene because we don't know what that building is.
Yeah, and that's fair. And you're right that very well could have been something that, you know, that was a political sort of thing. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that'd be an interesting question.
Given his monologue about, you know, the various viewpoints on killing people, like maybe that was some sort of military, you know, like office building or something.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was maybe some little things that we just weren't quite getting.
Yeah, it could very well be. Yeah. It's First Time Mike says, "Ooh, I like that sample of the soundtrack. I'm gonna get Maniac Driver soon." So awesome, First Time Mike. Get on that. And he says, "Sleazy Treats with Michael Ravenshadow. I think we got a new public access show." What'd you call it? A dark sleazy treat, or?
It's a dark sleazy treat.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it's dark sleazy treat. It's dark and sleazy.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that?
And also, First Time Mike says, "I love that GIF," the MZ painting GIF. All right, so we do have a couple voice messages.
Shit.
But before we get to those, let me just pull them up. I wanted to talk about what we're doing next week. So I'm excited about this because we're doing a Patreon takeover. Now, let me think back here. I think, is this the first time we've done a Patreon takeover from another country? I can't remember because we didn't have Dane on, right? That time? Didn't he call in or something?
Defer?
I'm trying to remember. I apologize. I forgot. But anyways, whether or not we had Dane on, this is the first time we're going to be doing a Patreon takeover live. What?
Double D, Dominican Republic.
Well, it's pretty much the U.S.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. No, that's fair. You're right. I was thinking like he is in the same sort of general continent as us, but we're talking about another continent. And next week, so when we start the show, it'll be 8 p.m. our time. It'll actually be 1 a.m. his time, and he will be just getting home from a gig in which he said he'll be very drunk. So next week, the Patreon takeover is with our boy, the vegan king of Wales, Linus. Raven Chow, you must be fucking beyond psyched, man.
Oh, I'm psyched beyond sight, like fucking Lionel, like a motherfucker, man.
Lionel? Wait, are you gonna be? Is that you're gonna be known as Lionel and Linus and Lino?
Yeah. I'm Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie.
Let's sing songs about him. I'm gonna make a clay sculpture of Linus's face.
Wow.
It's weird. It got weird. I don't know why. I'm sorry, Josh.
Yeah, it did take a turn really quick.
Yeah. Well, it's not the first one. That's fair to say. But no, I'm excited for Linus. He's gonna be toe up. I might take that Friday off. Just to commiserate.
And also, is this I'm trying to remember. Is this the first time we've had another vegan guest on? Am I going to be in good company here?
Ooh.
We're just going to talk about vegan food the whole time.
Trade recipes.
Yeah, we'll trade. Well, yeah, we'll trade recipes. What do you think of that, Raven Chow?
I'll try that. I'll try if it's. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it should be awesome. Linus is going to join us. It is going to be. I asked if he wanted us to maybe try to see if we can move it up an hour or something. I don't even know if that's possible. But next week, anyways, he's going to join us normal time from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. his time. fucking madman. So, and he only selected one movie, Raven Channel. So you get off light, and the movie he selected, although it is a 3-hour movie. But we're Nymphomaniacs 1 and 2. No, we will be talking about The Batman.
Ooh.
So
you already started watching it.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I should be done by.
I'm getting there.
You should be done by 1 o'clock Linus time.
He's been watching it in segments.
Yeah.
To be fair,
it
isn't.
God.
It's a long fucking movie.
How many, is you on, you breaking it up into, a 30-part series?
Yeah.
What are we talking here?
No, so I watched the first 20 minutes, and then I'm like, I'm going to watch it again. And then I got about a half an hour left. And then Trisha came over, we started watching it, and something else, turned our attention away. Hold on.
How can somebody fuck so much during movies? Watch a fucking movie. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Control yourself.
I'm not sure what happened. I don't know what happened, Johnny. But
Control your fucking self.
I don't know what happened.
It happens every time.
Let's be honest. Whenever he says that, you know what really happened? He fell asleep.
It could be lots of happened.
No, you always are super vague about it, and you want us to ask about it, so it's obvious what it is.
He wants to impress you, but he doesn't want you to know that if he sits in one place for more than 20 minutes, he falls asleep.
Well, I've seen it happen, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying it's not sexual related. Okay, I gotcha. So that never.
I don't know. I literally don't know.
You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know.
I bet
can't remember.
I bet Trish doesn't know either.
He
wakes up.
Marion, but thank you though. But no, it wasn't that. I think shit happens, man. Just fucking things happen. World
happens.
All he knows is he wakes up the next morning and he only remembers the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And he has an Uncrustable in his hand.
Yeah.
No, I'm out of Uncrustables. No, I'm out of the fucking. No, it wasn't the same sexual.
Wait, Marion just commented in the chat. She said Josh is absolutely correct.
Said you're always vague about it, so you want us to think something's going on. But if you sit and watch this for more than 20 minutes, you fall asleep.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Oh shit.
David Shadow, we're around the same age. I know what's going on. You're falling asleep.
Yeah, he was chasing the penguin, and all of a sudden,
yeah,
you're out. You're like, okay, I don't know. With the Razzapan.
All right. Well, anyways. Let's see. First time Mike says, and a Hot Pocket in the microwave. Yep.
Yeah,
it's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we do have a couple of voice messages. So anyways, yeah, looking forward to having Linus on. We're going to talk about the Batman. Maybe Raven Shadow will have finished it by then. who knows? So yeah, The Batman is available at least in America on HBO Max now, and I think in Canada it's on like Crave or something like that. I'm not sure about other countries, so your mileage may vary. Just give it a look and see if it's available anywhere. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I still haven't seen it yet, and I knew, I've been talking to Linus, and he had mentioned that would be the film he wanted to do, so I just decided to wait on it. Plus, I've just been so busy, I probably wouldn't have had a chance to watch it anyways yet. So now that it's for the show, I will make time, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, 3-hour movie. Who knows? There may be a lot of discussion. And if you guys...
Raven Shadow, make yourself some coffee. and don't get too comfortable. Like, sit up.
Yeah.
And so you can pay attention. And once the film gets rolling, I have seen it. It doesn't feel like 3 hours.
Yeah, I'll put some glass in my socks. Walk around.
You Ethan Hawke over here now?
I'll be like Ethan Hawke. Walking around the kitchen, hurting. Watching a movie.
First time Mike says Bizarre Raven Shadow watches all of the movies.
Yeah, finished 4-hour film
That's
MTM.
That's all Bizarro Michael Raven Shadow does is watch movies.
Yep. So Michael Raven Shadow, functioning member of society.
Yeah. All right, so looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun time next week. If you guys have thoughts about the Batman, as always, feel free to send them our way, podcast@trickortreatradio.com. And let's get to the voice messages. I think we got 2 here to play. Yeah, one of these may be for MZ, but dude turns into a pumpkin, so we get it. But let's go ahead and play that one first. This is from Creepy Girl.
Hey guys, Creepy Girl here. I'm still fighting this cold. I had pneumonia.
Oh, sucks.
A couple weeks ago. Still got a cold.
Sorry to hear it, Creepy Girl.
So I'm going to sound weird, but I wanted to give my 2 cents in on X. So right away when I watched this film, when they come up on the farmhouse, the first thing I thought of was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yep.
And the old couple, it was weird how they didn't show them at first. Like they kind of were like building up to showing them. And then when they did show them, I was like, those aren't really old people. They just have them made up to look old. And I had no idea the girl was playing both parts. But, I soon figured that out when I looked it up. But, the movie basically is sex, 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 and then kill, kill, kill. And at first, I was kind of disappointed because I was just like, I don't know. I felt like there wasn't a lot to the story, and it's just like they were just killing. I kind of got, the thing of wanting to be young or whatever, jealousy. And then, they showed the guy in the basement. That kind of showed, her motive, but it was still kind of weird. It was just weird that this woman of that age was so sexually, wanting sex. I know women, want sex a lot longer than men do, but I just still thought it was kind of weird. But I read up, at first I was kind of disappointed. Like, I really enjoyed the filming, like the actual cinematography, and the score was amazing. I didn't really hear you guys talk about that, but maybe you did at the beginning. I might have missed it. But I loved the music in it. Loved it. The acting was amazing. The retroness of the film was amazing, believable. But I don't know, I kind of felt like, the story fell short for me. But I started reading up, and I heard about the prequel film already made, and how Maxine and Pearl were kind of the same person. Like, not literally, but, kind of one looking into her future and one looking into her past.
Yeah.
And they really had similar kind of characters. They were the same person. And so I'm looking forward to the movie Pearl because I think it's going to be cool. Okay, I sound like crap. And all these medicine I took before I got into bed. So I sound probably like an idiot.
No.
But I really loved this movie. After I read about it more, I loved it more. And the kills were crazy amazing. I thought they were really original and creepy. Some stuff was really creepy. So anybody out there, if you watch it, if you understand the movie more, you'll like it more, I think, because what he's trying to do and what he's going to do with the new film, and when you understand that, then it kind of like, okay, all right, I get what he's doing here, and you kind of end up liking it a little more. But I mean, I did really like the film, but I just felt like after I watched it, like, what? So these old people just killed people for what reason? Because they were jealous and they wanted sex. And it just kind of was like weird, but I don't know. I loved it. And I can't wait to see the other one. And 2 more movies I'm like crazy looking forward to is Black Phone and Dash Cam. I can't wait for those to come out. Okay, bye. I'm going to sleep. Love you guys.
All right, Creeper Girl. Hope you get better. You definitely don't sound stupid. I can tell you're a little congested, but hopefully you get better soon. But thanks for calling in and leaving your thoughts on the flick. So, since we are running a little late, I'm just going to go right into the next one. Did you guys have anything to comment on?
So, thank you, Creepy Girl, and feel better soon.
Yeah, get better.
All right, and I think this is another voice message about X, but we will find out in a moment. And it's from our boy, Joshua Libre.
Yo, what up, Trick or Treat Radio? Johnny, Raven Shadow, Aries, Monster Zero, Arkham Josh. Yo, what up, guys? So, yeah, I just want to leave I'm going to try to leave as quick of a voicemail as I can. But, yeah, on the movies for this week, I have not seen Maniac Driver. I ordered my copy. I just got the email confirmation today that it got shipped, so I should be getting it sometime this week. Can't wait to see that. But I did see X. I saw it in the theaters opening weekend. I thought it was interesting. The movie was getting a lot of coverage in non-horror, non-genre type sources. Kind of like the LA Times did a whole feature on it before it was released, like a week before it was released. Variety did a whole, feature on it as well. So I thought, oh, this movie must be really, really something really special, something a little bit above, above the regular, So, I was hyped to go see it. Went opening weekend, on that AMC A list.
A-list.
And I saw it, and I honestly, I don't know, I did not enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. I thought it was a little too average, too run of the mill, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not an abomination of a movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just really, I don't know. I just didn't really do anything that I haven't seen before, as far, as far as even like, just, okay, slasher movie, at least get some creative kills, who cares about the plot or the character, all that shit, whatever. As long as the movie has got some creative kills, I'm good with that. But even then, I thought some, characters were getting killed, off frame with gunshots, and I'm like, I don't know. I can only think of one creative kill in that movie. But and also I thought it was very it was attempting to talk about, you know, old age and youth and voyeurism, but I thought it kept contradicting itself throughout the movie, and you know, it wasn't really clear. Maybe it's just me. I just didn't really understand what the movie's trying to say, you know, about those things. And I'm sure there's blog posts and YouTube explanation videos trying to, you know, explain the movie away, but you know, just from watching the movie itself, I don't know, I thought it was a little I don't know, like I felt like it really wasn't sure what it was trying to say. But even besides that, you know, at a baseline level, I don't know, I just thought it was very, you know, like I said, very run of the mill, you know, nothing you haven't seen before. And but it reminded me of like another movie that I thought of that I think is way better, and it's kind of similar. It's a slasher movie. It takes place in 1979, just like X. It's also about a porno movie production crew, just like X. And it was released a few years ago. It's on Shudder. It's called Heart Plus Knife, I think.
Oh yeah. And
I thought that movie is like, I was like way better than X. Like if people were impressed, if you really like X, then I think you'll really love Heart Plus Knife, because I don't know, that movie has, you know, it has I don't know, it has better characters, better performances. It's got a better script. The aesthetic is you know, it you know, is, I don't know, to me it looks better. It's more appealing. And it's weird that it's, you know, it's a movie with really dark shit, but it has a lot of heart, you know, with the characters. The characters kind of, you know, there's this real sense of family with the characters. And even the slasher killer is much better than the one in X, you know, than those characters. The motivations are more clear, you know. It's more, I don't know, I thought it was more clear about what you know, it was trying to say, more so than X. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking tripping or something, but I thought X was a little too average, you know. And maybe, I don't know, maybe my expectation, I was expecting a little too much. But like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's you know, I mean, it's a pretty, you know, okay, you know, average movie. It's cool, you know. But I would definitely recommend Heart Plus Knife, and like I said, I think it's on Shudder. Anyways, those are my thoughts on that movie. Can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts on it. Maybe you guys will break it down a little bit more, and you know, I'll see it in a different light. But yeah, thank you guys for the time. Have a great show, and talk to y'all later. Bye.
All right, Joshua Libre, thanks, man. And you know, obviously it didn't quite work for Josh. You know, and that's you know, you just never know when you watch a movie. It might not work. Other times it might. So, but that's what happened here. But you know, maybe our conversation will trigger something, Josh, that will make you want to kind of check it out again or something like that. So yeah, give it a look. I've heard some good things about Knife and Heart. Have you seen it, Josh?
Yeah, it's a genre that is set in the world of gay porn in France.
Okay.
And no, it's really good. I remember I posted about it a few times because back when it came out, I actually projected it a couple times at Brown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it played there as part of one of their film festivals, and it's a fantastic film. I forget the filmmaker, but like I said, so Knife Plus Heart is definitely like firmly a giallo.
Mm-hmm.
And they also did a music video for I think for the artist who did the soundtrack for it that we also showed, but the music video was completely in homage to like 80s like shot on video gore films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was directed by Jan Gonzalez.
Now, here's the other weird thing. And nobody that has seen Knife Plus Heart can explain it. And the people that were involved in booking the film couldn't explain it. But in a movie that takes place in 1979 in France, that was a French film shot in France, there's a scene where one of the characters is wearing a Charlestown, Rhode Island sweatshirt.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
There's like a park and campground down there.
Yep.
And it was like a sweatshirt for the campground.
That's awesome.
That's pretty wild.
I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, no kidding. That's just so random, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if whoever did wardrobe found it in a thrift store and it looked, period appropriate, or if somebody that worked on it was actually from Rhode Island, but I don't know.
That's great.
Crazy.
But yeah, if you have Shudder, definitely check out Knife Plus Heart. I think both films are great, and it's definitely worth a watch.
All right. Cool. Well, I appreciate the recommendation from the two Joshes teaming up to tell us about a flick. So cool, Josh. Well, always good to hear from you, Joshua Libre, that is. And, maybe it'll work for you next time or when you hear us discuss it. So if you change your opinion, feel free to let us know. All right. So we are wrapping things up here. And in the chat room, it looks like our girl Mina just dropped in. She said, just dropping in to say hi. So awesome to hear from Mina. Hopefully we'll have Mina on the show again sometime soon. Well, that is it for voice messages, and I believe that's it for the show. And we went pretty late here. Hopefully that's not a problem, Josh. I didn't realize we probably should have asked you if you had to get home. You got to drive like 45 minutes, right?
I'm in Warwick now, so it's about an hour.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit.
Don't worry, I got nothing to do in the morning.
Okay, good.
I got to wake up and sell records at some point.
About noontime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually don't get up until like 10 a.m. anyway.
Yeah.
Don't get jealous, Raven Shadow.
Oh, it sucks.
All right, so why don't we say our goodbyes? So let's see, just make sure, no more voice messages, checking the feeds. I think we got all the comments. So that's it. Next week, Patreon Takeover with Linus. We'll be talking about the Batman. So if you guys have thoughts, send them our way, podcast@trickortreatradio.com. Josh, as always, it is a pleasure, and I appreciate you lending your expertise to the conversation because it was very helpful for these two films. So as always, we appreciate it, and we'll have to make a plan to get you on the next time again.
Yeah, as usual, thanks for having me, and just let me know when you want me to come back. I know Raven Shadow enjoys the company.
I do.
Yeah, I think we're on an alternating schedule with Josh. Maybe next time he'll join us via Skype, maybe next time in studio. So, but obviously, Josh, I don't want to speak for Raven Shadow, but I'm sure you're welcome there anytime you want to go.
We had fun.
We
had pizza party
in the green room.
Yes, the green kitchen.
The lime green kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah. I think as long as I have a couple weeks' notice, I can usually arrange to be here.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Tell him in 2 weeks, Johnny.
All right, well, we'll figure all that out. We'll touch base with Josh and have him back definitely soon. So, once again, you guys should go to discogs.com/seller/jgravel and buy some vinyl from Josh if you are so inclined. If you're into vinyl, he's got a lot of stuff on there. Over 2,600. Oh, you went from 2603 to 2602, Josh. You made a sale during the show.
Yeah, it happens.
I'm sure it wasn't because of us, but We'll take credit anyways.
Use that fucking Amazon link.
You know, and
you can't use your Amazon link for Discogs.
Yeah. But and I was also going to say, I know there's a number of listeners in the New England area where if anybody contacts me via social media, I allow people to make appointments and come and shop through my garage. So
wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you can get things cheaper than online and not have to pay shipping.
There you go. All right. So if anyone wants that, reach out to Josh. All right. So we are going to say our goodbyes. Michael Raven Shadow. Oh, the fuck did he go?
The dog ran away and he chased.
Why are you doing the X-Pac intro every single fucking time you enter the room?
It's for the people.
No, it's for yourself.
And the people.
It's for yourself first.
It's for all the people in his head.
And Josh.
Yeah, do you feel like you have a live feed going at all times? Like
Yeah.
when you get in the shower in the morning, you go like
I do the Triple H though before I get out.
Oh God.
True, yeah.
All
I
right.
do that, yeah. Problems, Johnny.
He does.
Well, we'll say goodbye.
All right, live fast. Oh, wait, that's mine. Yeah, it's mine. I was confused for a minute. Live fast, love hard, survive with your mask on.
I'm just going to say goodbye and have a nice evening.
There you go. And I'm sure Aries would say goodbye.
Oh, I'm also going to quickly say I'm sorry, Aries. If I did anything,
It wasn't you.
If I encouraged Raven Shadow too much,
it wasn't.
Raven Shadow, you need to text him tomorrow, okay?
We'll talk offline.
No, you need to text him, okay? You promise me? You're not going to wait for him to message you?
Okay, I'll text him.
He was mad at you.
Thank
you. Made him angry. You won't like Aries when he's angry.
When he's angry.
When he's angry. All right, that is it. So appreciate everybody for hanging out with us, for Carando, for sending us that great introduction voice message, and also he let us watch the screener of this. It's
thank you.
I still would like to get my own copy of it. I'll get from Diabolic, but I appreciate that, Carando, for allowing us to get a sneak peek, and also for MZ for joining us. It was great having MZ join us as always, like old times, and it was great to have him on for another Carando movie. Just made sense to do that, so I'm glad he could make that happen. Would have been nice if he was in the studio, but hey, we'll take what we can get, right? He would have been pissed if the show went this late and he was in studio. So
I'm so tired.
Yeah. So all right. Well.
Here.
So we appreciate everyone for sending voice messages. Josh, Creepy Girl, and as I mentioned, Carando for his awesome intro for Maniac Driver. And next week, as mentioned, we'll be joined by Linus for the Patreon takeover to discuss the Batman. That should be fun. And also, I think just before that comes out on May the 4th, our Patreon episode, our Trick or Treat Radio. If you guys like that conversation we had a couple weeks ago about the worst Jedi, you're definitely going to want to listen to our Patreon episode with myself, Raven Shadow, and Rocky, my co-host on Force Insensitive. So that should be a good time. So come back, join us next week. Check out the Patreon episode, and a big thank you to everyone who hung out in the live show and all of our Patreon supporters. We love you guys, and we shall see you next week.